Hello and welcome to the In Your Head podcast. I am your host, as always, Jesse, and with me on the couch, stand-up comedian and part of, former part of Starving Naked, because I know we've had some of the guys on.
Sure.
So we might as well
That's
throw
fine.
you in with
That's fine. That's all right. We've done things together.
Neil Wood. How are you, Neil?
Jesse, nice to see you again.
It's good to have you on here. I've seen you a lot at High Note. I've seen you over at Bobby Ray's at Starving Naked. So I mean, most of the guys I've had here have all been comedians. To be honest, it wasn't the original idea of this podcast to be all comedians. It just seems to be the way it's gone. So I guess I'm going to stick with it since.
Yeah, listen, if you're getting your fish from one fishing hole, that it's and also in your head, we're a weird bunch. You're an interesting guy yourself.
Comics definitely provide some interesting entertainment that I've found over the course of. This is episode 27, so it's proved some interesting stories, and as always, I always lead this off with an interesting story to grab my guests. So we have what's called the statute of initiation. So I always ask my guests to bring a story of something from their past that they might not be so proud of that they want to share.
Sure, always. My mom will love this. So.
Just don't share it with her.
Yeah, no, it's fine. She doesn't have YouTube. Cool. So I was actually thinking about this recently. My current girlfriend's name is Brittany, and I realized that I have been dating many Brittany's. Multiple. I think if I'm between hookups and relationships, it's about 70% Brittany's. So
that's a big ratio right there.
Even when I say it now, and I just didn't realize it until like last week, it's just unsettling to me that I just never. I was like, well, some of them are N-E-Ys, and then some of them are N. It's different. It's different. It's just different.
That's like all the Jeffs I had on here. I had 4 Jeffs in my first 10 episodes. One was Jeff Colella, which was the only one that was spelled with the G. So it was like,
which is not a real Jeff. I mean, we all know that's messed up. But
sorry,
it's
Jeff.
not a real Jeff. Yeah. So that was strange, and then it made me think of the strangest thing that a Brittany ever said to me. Like, also, I don't know what Brittany's. I don't know what it is. How did I date all these Brittany's? What does it say about them? What does it say about me? Really. I guess some of the Brittany's I have met, I say overall. They're from where I'm from, a tougher part of town, I guess. We didn't grow up really wealthy or anything. So I think it was just one of those things where I just couldn't stop thinking about the craziest thing that a Brittany ever said to me. And it was, I met her at, Dominic's Tavern?
Yeah.
Right
around the corner from here. Yeah, I'm in.
Not too far. I don't want to. Now they know. Now they
know.
know.
No, I'm sure I've said it before, so it's all good. It's
right over here. I'm sure she still goes. It's a towny town bar.
Because usually the ones that do, they get their mail there. Yeah,
it's
a
one of
towny
those
bars, folks. Yeah,
it's a towny bar, 100%. Doing comedy there. Met her there. She was 23 years old. Yeah, 23. I was 26 at the time. Right. Her name was Brittany. Of course it is.
Well,
how are you? Good to meet you. I've dated many. So there's another comedian who I was house sitting for. It might not help with your viewers and your listeners, but this comedian who is. As he says in his act, it is on the spectrum. A very nice guy, wonderful dude, Craig Haas.
Okay, yeah, and he's at High Note almost every week. Yeah.
Almost every week, interesting dude out of the gate, right? He's with this one young lady. I don't think he's still with her, so it's a touchy. I don't want to bring it up, but he's with this one young lady. They asked me to cat sit for them as they go away.
Okay.
I have no idea where they're going, but it's fine, right?
Well, it makes sense when you have pets. It's tough. Yeah,
it is true. Yeah. So I'm for like 2 or 3 cats. I think somebody pointed that out. I was just like, I have no idea actually how many cats were in the house. It was like that kind of house. Nothing against Craig. He's a nice guy. Just this house was one of those houses you walk in, you're like not 100% sure where parts of it end and begin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I think there was like 3 or 4 of them. And it also, I gotta say, Craig Haas again. I'm sorry. It's a little bit of an odor. It might have been just a bad week. I don't know what happened. It was just a little bit. But the whole point is, she texts me and she's like, "Hey, you want if I come over?" As I'm house sitting. Now I'm like, yeah, sure. Craig probably won't care. That's fine. Him and his girlfriend. I didn't ask his girlfriend. I really didn't care. To be honest, I know that's bad. But it's middle of the day, and I'm like, yeah, this is a perfect place to have sex with a lady. This is the best place ever. He does have a spare bedroom. I'm sleeping in, right? So Yeah, cut to middle of the day, like 2 p.m. She comes over, and we're upstairs. And I don't know if I shouldn't curse, so let's keep this very clean.
No,
right?
we really don't care.
Okay.
No, this is way below getting monetized. I don't have enough views to even come close to thinking about that. If it does, I'll go back and start bleeping stuff.
Bleeping stuff out.
Feel
Okay.
free.
Well, it's not needed, is it? Anyway, but I'm just wondering. So I am unwrapping a condom to begin what I like to call my sessions.
Right. Okay.
So, which is nice and creepy in the way I like it. But I'm undoing a condom, and I'm doing this away from. I don't know. You ever feel that moment where you're like, you don't want to just do it in front of them, so you're just like, give me a sec, you just go over here.
Yeah,
you
it's not like it's a big
it's
thing.
not
To anybody who can do it sexy, like, congratulations. If you can keep that going, awesome. But usually it's just like, hold on 1 second, get it done.
Yeah, well, right. So, quick turn away. She hears the rapper, and then I hear from over my shoulder, and I can almost feel her voice just be like, ew, oh, no. And I'm like, I just whip around. I'm like, is everything all right? What's going on? Like, I was like, is that moment you're like, I know I didn't fart. Like, I know I didn't. I was like, it wasn't me. Did she? Is that what she's grossed out by herself? And, but she's like, oh, no, you're not using a condom, are you? And I'm like, yeah, we just met last week. We just met last week. I don't know what you're doing. But the weirdest part was just like, well, why is that? Is that a big deal? And she's like, just no. She just said, just no. Just like, is it? Yeah, just a blatant no, thank you. And I'm like, all right, well, what happens if you get pregnant? Let's find. I'm interested. I'm in. Like, let's talk about this, right? And she kind of sits up. She sits up like this, and then she kind of looks over, not at me, but like off to the window, and then she just kind of does a sigh and kind of, I guess I'd run away. It's just a weird, like 23 years old. That's important here. We're not talking someone of like, yeah, well, that would be a crime. That would be a crime if you're thinking of like, is this a crime? No, not a crime. Just
all legal consenting
just
age.
all legal consenting age. Yep, of course. But in that moment, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what does she think is happening, right? And again, like I said, I've dated a lot of Britneys, and I start kind of coming into this thing in my head of just like, what is going on? What am I doing? You know, who are these people I'm dating or hooking up with? And then she was like, well, I'm like, well, what do you mean you run away? What do you mean you run away? She's like, oh, well, if my dad ever found out.
Jesus.
And that's when it dawned on me, and this is true, it dawned on me, I was like, I didn't think up to that point that she had a dad. I didn't think Britney's had dads. And that's cruel and messed up. And it's messed up. It's 100% true story. Now, that's like some of the stage stuff that and that's a true thing I've told on stage before. But the story is worse, which I kept out. So we have sex without a condom at the end of the story.
Yeah.
Well, did you see that comment?
You're invested at that point.
Did you see it comment? Did you?
I guess at that point you're a little invested.
What do you do? It's because it was a weird thing to say, but it was also like she's like, no, again, if anyone ever makes this promise to you that they are clean or whatever, it doesn't. And I have not done this often. I want to say this is not. It doesn't have to be 100% funny. I have not done this often. I've worn condoms like probably up until having a recent relationship where you're going to the doctor and like doing the whole gamut and doing all that. Up to the point all through college is always condoms. Got a little loosey goosey when I got around 26. Don't know what's about 26 makes that okay. And we did have sex after that. And then the unfortunate part about this is that I never heard from her again.
After that, nothing?
I think she's dead. I know, that's a fucked up story. No, it's not. She's not dead. She's fine. But it was weird that she was like, no, I'll have to run away. And then she just stopped texting me.
Wow.
Which is weird. Then we heard, which a buddy you had on, Jesse Dram.
Yeah. A couple episodes ago. Yeah.
That's his neighbor.
Oh.
Back from the day. Yeah, back from the day. Back in the day.
Yeah.
That was his neighbor. Not too
I thought
far
you said back. I thought you were going to say back from the dead.
Yeah,
like,
back from the dead. Jesus, no, I'm setting up all these terrible jokes. No, but yeah, and he was like, that was really weird because rumor around like his mom had heard that she was really into me and everything like that. And for that to be our last interaction, I just didn't know how to feel about it for a long time. I'll be honest, all joking aside, it really was after that. I was kind of like, I think I hit her up a couple times, like, hey, is everything cool? Like, are you good? Are you okay? Like, I did have a terrible thought. I was like, we were safe. I'm pretty sure everything was fine. But yeah, she never talked to me again.
Wow.
It's weird. It doesn't end well. Hence why it's not like anything I talk about on stage. It just ends real weird.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting.
Sorry, Britneys of the world. I apologize. I want to go on record now.
I'm still reeling for the fact that much of your dating and such career was Britney's.
I have no idea. I have no idea why. I think it's got something to do just about where I grew up, like in parts of, you know what I mean? There's very common names. I feel like Britney's a common name, Southern New Jersey, I would say.
Yeah, I've heard it a couple. I've never known too many. I've known a couple.
Really?
But I didn't know a lot.
Is Britney like a white trash name to you? I don't want to hurt anybody.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've never. I honestly don't think I've ever really known a Britney. Like, too close. No, I swear, no. I don't think I've ever known a Britney.
I don't want to ask you too many questions because it feels like you.
No,
I'm like, where did you go to school? How was that even possible?
I mean,
what? Oh God.
I mean, well, I'm 36.
Yeah. Oh my
so,
God. You look like a young 36.
I know.
I
only get that like every time.
Right.
Tell somebody that, but so I mean, maybe it was the fact that maybe, you know, my parents' generation wasn't using the name Britney too much.
I guess so.
So I mean, because I still had a ton of, you know, Chris's, John's, Mike's.
Well, of course.
That was you know, those were still the staples. There was no Trevor's and you know, all that shit. You know exactly what I mean. All those names that are just showing up and are like huge now. You know, the Chases and all that stuff. It's not. We didn't have that. We just had the Mike. Like my name was weird. That was why it was strange to have like Jesse Dram. Like all the I never really knew any other Jessies. That was weird to me.
There's Uncle Jesse, Jesse Dram, and then you. And that's pretty much the gamut, I think, is how it runs.
Yeah, well, there was the Jesse James that was on that motorcycle thing for a while, so I got that one.
But he's dead to everybody, right? You can't.
I think he disappeared.
You can't have sex with Sandra Bullock and then cheat on her or something like that. I think that's everyone just disavowed him as a person.
Yeah, I haven't seen him on
which
anything.
Is weird.
Yeah, so that's about the only Jesse that there are. It's not a name that's really big. I mean,
so growing up, you didn't see your name a lot.
No,
you didn't hear your name too much.
No, so when somebody said it, it was kind of good because I know, like, and it still messes me up to this day at High Note or anything about the case because, I'm not trying to talk about him while he's not here, but you know, like Jesse Dram, it's like when he's around at High Note and someone will talk to him and someone will say, "Oh yeah," and Jesse, and I'm like, "Oh wait, what? No, it's not me," and I'm used to being the only Jesse around.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a strange thing, especially with that name, you know. So. But speaking of which, so I don't know if we want to bring something like this up, but this is interesting because I saw this on your Facebook.
God.
Facebook friends. And I introduced you as Neil Wood.
Oh, yes.
But as far as your Facebook says, that's not your actual first name. I don't know if we're going to try to give it out.
Oh, it is. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's all garbage. It's just my mom hates me, so it's fine. It's not.
I wonder when people have a name like that because I've known people. I had a friend named Greg growing up my entire life. That was not his name. His entire
like I forgot a mic was here.
But that was not his name. His whole life growing up, I had no idea for 20 years his name was Ken.
Oh, okay.
And Greg was his middle name, and I had no idea. Yeah. And I still wonder why some people, and I guess each reason is different. For him, Ken was his dad.
Right.
He was a junior. Right. So because he used his middle name, so it made it easier, especially around the house and things like that. And I guess I wonder why somebody doesn't go by their first name. Why you go by Neil instead of your first name?
Yeah, like I said, you'd have to ask my mother and the family. They're just silly. They're just silly and stupid. I honestly don't. I actually make fun of my own family, like because all the women. I was raised by predominantly women. There are a lot of the men just died. You know, it's just. The Italian man doesn't, have a certain age, of a certain generation, didn't make it long. You know what I mean? So they just weren't around. All the women, for some reason or another, just would like call you, would put a sweet first name, and I wouldn't say James is a sweet first name. My full name is James Neil Wood. And then I have to have, and also names, most boring thing in the world, obviously to talk about, but it's like, yeah, it's a fine name. It's perfect. You do that. And then you just put Neil Wood. Neil is my mother's maiden name.
Okay.
Dad's James Wood.
Okay.
And for some reason or another, also, they love to confuse you as a kid, so they'll only call you by the middle one.
Okay.
And it's very unsettling not unsettling. It's very unsatisfying when I tell people that, it's even more, because there's no real, it's not like, my uncle died in the war, and his leg was named Neil. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, he lost it over there and he named it Neil and we thought that'd be interesting. Like,
yeah, and I was kind of curious what was behind
garbage. I'm a garbage. And then people will know. Then they push it. That's when I realized I wouldn't do this to my kid. Because then nowadays, especially, like now it's like when somebody asks you and they're like, or if someone's like, oh, that person just called you James, which no one really does. But like if they saw it on my ID or something like that, they're like, oh, okay, so your name's just Neil. Like, you think you get to use it by everyone. I'm like, dude, I didn't choose this. This isn't my fault, all right? I didn't, you know what I mean? There's people out there, they're gay. I didn't choose. They're not gay by choice, man. I didn't choose. But, I mean, people call me James. Some people do. I kind of am getting a little more used to it, I think. But like I said, you saw on my Facebook, and sometimes I just, dude, if I'm walking across the street and there's a bus coming for me, just call me Neil. Just, I'm not going to, I might not be like, James, dude, I don't know who. You're Doug Klang, and then I'm dead. You know, just call me Neil. Yeah, but it's just a family thing. They did the same thing to my my nephew. They gave him a sweet first name. I've always liked the name Dean. Always liked the name Dean. They gave him his first name is Dean. His middle name is Rocco. Already, Rocco's not a bad name.
No,
I just mean
that pairing. I don't know if I can get behind.
Dean Rocco Martz. It's like, you know, they obviously don't want like Dean Martin. Like I get it, but like they just stuck Rocco in the middle.
That does feel kind of forced, I guess would be the word.
I don't know. It just goes from such a smooth first name
Dean is
into just Barney Rubble territory so fast. I just don't. And he, unfortunately, he is 100% a Rocco. He's just like a crazy kid who says weird shit. So it's like, it just is weird. But thank you for looking at my Facebook.
No, I mean, I just, it was a curiosity to me, I guess, because I've only got two names. It's just first, last name.
Oh.
So
you can't be a serial killer.
Yeah, I know.
You're that, you don't have the cool three names.
Assassinate a president. None of it.
You're fudged, man.
So yeah, so I mean, but it's interesting, and I wonder why somebody goes by that. So it was more of a curiosity for me to figure out. And
very boring. I know.
It's not boring.
I wish they gave me and if I do give my kid a middle name and I'm gonna call it by him, it's gonna be weird. Make it weird and interesting. It's, you know what I mean? Just don't make it like, oh yeah, that was our dog. So that was what we did. That was my maiden name. Because then, when I was younger, I thought my name, they have me on camera, which I love that they did this to me. They have a shot of me saying on camera my name incorrectly because I thought my name was Neil James Neil Wood. That's how dumb they had made me as a child. And they wonder why I'm not sufficient in math. Like now, you know what I mean? Like they just like, they're like, hey, what's your name, Neil? And they're laughing. He thinks his name is Neil James Neil Wood. Look how dumb he is. Look how stupid. It's like, yeah, whose fault was this? Whose fault was this, I would say. Mom, I'm calling you out, all right? Posting this to your Facebook.
Oh, man. This is going to be real awkward. I can't wait to see the comments under this one.
Yeah. Your son has sex without a condom every once in a while, and he hates his own name. Coming at you. Like just making this to a wrestling promo.
This is gonna get real ugly. We're good. One or the other.
Oh, eventually when I come back, like I'm sure, of course, because you already love me. But eventually, I would like to hear, or maybe you know now, what a middle name for you if you had to pick a middle name now today.
I would. I already know. Which is funny because it would be James, which would be after my father.
Oh, okay.
My father.
Easy pick.
My father's name was James Francis Rogers. He took his middle name. Yeah, he got his middle name after his father, and so I was going to do the same thing. Which
they didn't stick you with a middle.
No, never got it. Well, because they were going to let me choose it when I got confirmed.
Right, of course.
So they were going to let me get confirmed, but I wanted nothing to do with organized religion. So I had to.
I had to feel you. Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. But so I never made it to confirmation. And I was like, I'm not doing this, yada yada, and. I think anybody I know knows how much.
I didn't even forget my confirmation. I forgot that was in there. Technically, my full name.
Okay, here we go.
I was religious. Is James Neil? I think it's John Wood.
James Neil John Wood.
It's just garbage. The between the religion and my family, it's just like something like that. It's now that sounds like a stripper who didn't figure out what they wanted to be. They're like, yeah, my name is James Neil John Wood. How are you? Oh, God, I'm such a terrible person. Sorry, anyway.
The funny thing is that you're more confused about it, that you're kind of...
Yeah, my general vibe, yes. My general vibe as a grown 6'5" male is confusion. I would have to say. I think Don't ask why.
I've seen worse.
Oh, okay.
Cool. I've seen much more confused.
Yeah. No, I get you. Thank you. I'll take that compliment. I don't get them often. So.
It's the truth. I've seen people that try to go through life and have almost no grasp on what's going on around them.
True.
And they just, it bothers me because I'm 36. I'm living on my own, have a house, job, car, all the normal stuff. And I see people my age, slightly younger, slightly older, that just don't have a grasp on it and don't, prioritize that stuff and see that, way to get their life in that kind of order. And I'm like, they're too busy partying, drinking. I'm like, that was 21 to 24, 25. Right. Then you got to start shaping that shit together. And so, and I still see them, and to me that's that confusion. Like, they wonder why it's like, oh, you've got all this. Like, no, I just have a job. I have responsibilities, so I can do the things I want to do. And
PSA, kids, just get a job. All right.
Yeah, get your shit together.
It's not complicated.
Yeah, that should be the new slogan here. Get your shit together.
It's not complicated. Well, that's a dumb movie. But that's fine. Or something. Never mind. It's Complicated was a dumb movie. Get out there, search it. Don't watch it. It's garbage.
Okay, cool.
Anyway,
save me that trouble.
yeah. There you go.
We get enough movies coming out in the next little while that I've got to watch, and
really?
They all have 2 in the title for some reason. I've got to see. I got to see Super Troopers 2.
Oh, right.
Deadpool 2.
Oh yeah.
The Equalizer 2. The Incredibles 2, everything 2 is coming out in the next couple months.
The Equalizer 2 going to be, I just feel like the first one was, I don't know if this matters if you get into this or how you run your podcast.
No, I'm...
Yeah. Is it fine to be loosey-goosey?
Yeah, that's the way this always goes. That's why it goes so damn long. So go for it.
Did you see the Ben Affleck one where he's on the spectrum apparently?
No, I didn't. Is there something coming out?
No, it already came out.
Okay.
It's they try to, which I didn't have a problem with it until somebody pointed out, but it's almost a similar movie. It's basically The Equalizer, where instead of being like a trained, just like assassin who's just like
that's
above
not
and beyond.
The Accountant, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
I didn't realize he was supposed to be in the spectrum, and I didn't read much into it. I saw the previews. He's like doing the math, doing stuff, and then I thought he was just like, oh, he's this white collar guy by day, and then he goes out and fucking shoots people.
Right, Dan Harmon, the creator of Rick and Morty and stuff like that. He, of course, I'll point to a famous person who had these ideas, like of just being like, it's a weird choice to basically like make The Equalizer, and then like come in and then just be like, well, what if we take this thing that is like person on the spectrum who has this ability to concentrate and stuff, and what if somebody at a young age was like, you can kill people, like, and that's it, like that's all it is. That's the only thing. The only difference is that it's him, and they just kind of give it a thing. Very interesting. But to go to The Equalizer, which I think was a good movie, I just don't know what the second one, because it felt very complete if I'm remembering it correctly.
It was complete as far as what he was doing in that story, because I feel like the main issue of the Russian guys in that movie, spoilers for anybody, the main issues with the Russian guys didn't show up till about halfway through the movie anyway.
True.
So he was kicking ass and taking names well into that thing, and then when the Russian thing happened, he's like, okay, that's it. Not taking his crap anymore.
He's getting up there too.
Yeah, and he started, so I think the new one is supposed to be a new story as far as like somebody hurts somebody he knows. I've only seen the trailers. I haven't.
Are they from books or anything like that? Probably not.
I don't believe
between
so.
on the name, it doesn't sound like it is.
No, I don't believe so. So somebody hurts or kills somebody he knows, and then he's just like, that's it. He snaps, and that's it, and it's ass kicking time. Okay. So. I mean, I love Denzel. I love watching his movies. So
it's kind of hard to not love Denzel.
Right. So I was like, well, I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's, I don't care.
You're going theater?
Oh, yeah.
You're going theater.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I plan
that
on
feels
theater
like to me when I would come. I don't know why it is. I'm not saying it's not about. It's a good watch. We already all know that. If you haven't seen it, if you have seen, even watch a couple of minutes of the trailer, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to do the money on it, man. You do a matinee at least.
Yeah.
What's your movie habit? You're doing matinee. If you're going out to the movies nowadays, are you strictly matinee?
No. Well,
you're doing
to be fair, it's so rare when I go to the movies.
Okay.
That's why. Because it's so rare when me and my wife find stuff that we want to see together. It's very rare. So we're
3 coming up as well. If you're gonna.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've got Super Troopers 2, which I actually didn't get out to yet, but.
That's right.
It's
it already came out.
Yeah. So.
Oh boy.
I got that one. I mean, Incredibles 2. We might wait for that. We might just see that when it comes out, because that's like, it's a kind of a kid movie. It's a fun movie. We just kind of want to see it because the first one was fun. It was a good movie.
They paid the adults a very good nod on that one. Yeah, that felt very good.
And then you mix that in with Deadpool 2, which is definitely in the theaters.
Yeah.
That I'm definitely going to see. So
I have to see that one in the. Yeah, that was. I don't think I saw the first one in the theater, and I kind of regret it. I kind of regret it. I was like, that's the one you see out of those three.
yeah,
4, not including the Incredible, like 3. I'm seeing Deadpool in the theater.
yeah,
And I'm not even that big of a nerd about it. Like, I just really love the movie styling and everything like that. I thought that was spectacular.
yeah. No, I'm not even like a big comic guy.
Yeah.
But I saw that movie and I was like, the Deadpool, because I think Stan Lee had said how Deadpool speaks to people outside of comics.
Yes.
So you can go there and enjoy it, and he kind of like tells it like it is, and I love that he just breaks that wall. And it's that fun part of the movie, and they can just do all those little nods of stuff that you don't realize. Like I feel like I could just sit back and watch that movie frame by frame and catch shit. Like you look at the Deadpool that's in that bar in that movie, and you see the names of people that are in that movie. Like it's like Ryan Reynolds, T.J. Miller. They're on the Deadpool list if you're looking at it. And there's all these little fun nods of stupid stuff. And don't make the suit green or animated. You know that joke.
Yeah.
So there's so much fun stuff that's outside that's just a lot of fun and
Easter eggs.
Yeah, just a lot of good Easter eggs and nods that are great. So
yeah, and it does speak to it. I really liked Super Troopers. Definitely have to check it out. But I'm really excited. When does that come out? I'm sorry to do this on the air. No.
Deadpool, May 20th.
Okay, thank you.
Got that one on my list. Yeah, I put it down, folks, because crowd the theaters for that one. I know it's not going to be getting the same treatment at the theaters that the Marvel was Infinity War.
Well, I'm just hoping. So for the theater, do you think because of the rating? Stuff like that. Like, am I going to have to wait for that to come out? Now I'm wondering if they're going to do like an unrated. Am I seeing the unrated? Because that one's like a darker tale.
As far as for
Deadpool,
I don't know. I think they're just going to, I mean, they're saying it's still not rated.
Oh, okay.
I think they keep saying the film is not yet rated, but I mean, it's going to be a hard R. There's no way it can't be. I mean, the first one was definitely. And, I mean, this one looks a little bit more fun. I like the kind of X-Force, I think they're called, the group that he puts together to do this.
Oh, okay.
He puts together a group of, just hodgepodge misfits and does some kind of crime fight, I guess, to fight Cable or whatever's going on. I see. This is, for anybody watching, this is how much I know about movies. I try not to dig into them. I'm not spending 2 months beforehand trying to go like, what's going on? What's the trailer telling me? What's supposed to be the story? No, I'm going to go to the movie and I'm going to enjoy it like a normal human being used to.
So.
But that's the problem. People so overanalyze movies anymore that it just takes the fun out of it. And I'm just like, I'm going to have fun.
Yeah.
And you see movies on like everybody's like Rotten Tomatoes. It's like you see a movie on Rotten Tomatoes that Rotten Tomatoes slams for like a 45%, but it was a fun movie. And then people like me would watch it, and then it's like, oh, like 85, 90% from people who watched it, not critics. So it's such a hard thing to follow those ratings and actually see what, and understand that.
Yeah.
If you overanalyze any kind of media, I think it's going to kill it for you.
True, always. Actually, we watched my girlfriend and I, soon to be ex-girlfriend, but if not important.
Dig into that.
I don't want to dig into it. We're not talking about that. No, but we watched a movie. We were both. This is how sometimes people don't realize if they're watching a movie and you're avidly possibly. We both felt like we were kind of avidly hating it, like. But what you don't realize is sometimes they're just actually engaging. They're at least engaging you, like it. And it wasn't like a very crappy movie. It was like this kind of I would say like B+ movie. It was, it's it's a B+ where it's like, okay, the people that shot this movie know what they're doing. I'm also a big horror fan, the horror genre, that you can have a wide range between like C to A movies. There's a wide range of like B that just hang out in there if you ever dive in. And this was the one where she's a blind. She's deaf. She's a deaf woman out in kind of this house. She's escaped the city. She's a writer, and a psychopath ends up killing the neighbor next door. And now he's like just basically walks into her house and everything like that. But we're avidly like yelling at this movie. Like we're just like, oh, what are you doing? You do this, do that. And at the end of it, actually, then we both kind of sat back there like we're sweating. We're doing the whole thing. We're sweating. She's like, okay, all right, it's all fine at the end. But we both realized like, oh, okay, that one engaged us. We were actively watching the director, the writer. To your point, like. Make choices and just live with those choices. Like it's like, oh, maybe this will happen. It is a horror movie, it's characters sometimes are like, I fell. We get it. But like we were watching them and we were like disagreeing with some. And at the end of it, a satisfying movie. You know, it's on like Netflix. It's fine. You know. But yeah, people get too involved. They're just like, oh. And then also you love those people that will actually watch a movie like that and then go on and rip it. Like it's like, dude, it was just a movie. It's fine.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that everything is supposed to be this perfect blockbuster masterpiece.
The guy tried. That's what a lot of people don't realize is sometimes all those people in the movie were just trying the best they could to make it. They were trying to throw it all. Sometimes it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Sometimes it doesn't work. That's what so many moviegoers, it just bums me out. I also don't go on the internet and like look up. Sorry, YouTube, if you don't realize that, but like I don't have anything to do or say on comment threads. It's like, so I don't read them. I don't look at them. You know, I hope you don't either if you're putting this out on there.
No, I try not to really look at them because, you know, my ego's frail enough probably as it is. So looking at YouTube comments doesn't help your ego at all. It doesn't help you feel. I don't think I know any human being that goes into YouTube comments and goes, you know what? I need to feel better about humanity and myself. I'm going to look at the YouTube comments on my videos. I think it's quite the opposite. It's really like, man, that razor's getting real close to my arm. If I need to finish this off, I'm going to go look at my YouTube comments, and that's pretty much what that's going to push you over the edge.
It bums me out. A lot of people don't know this about me. Actually, me and Jeremy Riley were just talking about this, like, which I don't know if you've had him on, but like another comic or anything like that. We're just talking about like we are kind of basically off. We're not off social media. We just still have all the accounts. I don't know how you are. You know, we still have all the stuff. We just like, I hate to say it, I will of course share this.
No, I appreciate it.
I will share this on anything. But we have like nothing to say like on that way. And I guess some folks will just go on there. Actually, like famous comedians will just use it as like a place to just actually just dump stuff. Like they'll just be like, whatever, I don't care. Yeah. But I have like nothing to say, so I like really just don't. I don't even engage.
It's hard. I haven't quite understood it yet. Like I just don't feel like just going on Twitter and going, oh, look at that. I mean, I have a Twitter for this, and I've thought of trying to use it to make the social media presence, but it's hard. I'm like, I'm doing the same thing through my Facebook, and I'm saying, hey, this person's going to be on, and this is going to happen. So I try to do stuff like that, but I'm like, I don't need to share that on Twitter. It's just there's not much going on with it, so it makes it tough, and I've never quite got the grasp of it to really try to stick with it.
And I'm sure there's going to be, I mean, if it's, one day, if we're ever famous, let's hold hands. Yay! And then we like hold hands. We're like, one day. No. But I think someone on the other side will be like, well, you're using digital media right now, so you're probably putting this on YouTube. So, I mean, if you don't want to be involved in technology, again, we're talking about the negative. Like, it's like, I guess I could just post positive stuff. And for the most time, it's just like business stuff. It's like shows and, things like that. It's again, just opinion. And me and Jesse Tram, actually, I hate to keep dropping it. We were roommates. If anyone's just like, why does he keep mentioning this? Me and Jesse Tram were roommates for a while. So this makes sense. Plus, I want to attack him on this show. I'll see you next Friday. You're going down. He's a wrestling fan. Yeah, but we just disagree because he floats stuff, and that's fine. He floats stuff out. He'll get upset in threads though. That's what I mean. He'll come to me and be like, "Oh yeah, these stupid jerk faces on this one thing. They were ripping it apart, and it's like, oh, you don't even get it, and this thing and the other." It's like, you're just getting yourself all riled up. You just get yourself all bummed out.
I feel like there's no sense in trying.
I don't know why they do it.
It's hard, man. It's tough. So. But something else to try to stay on this script here that I have that this is the second line of the script that I try to roll us through here. so after 33 minutes, I'm on to the second part of this thing. I told you these podcasts just go. I don't know how the hell this ever
I'm gonna stop talking as much. Go ahead, please.
No, it's fine, dude. This is the way it always rolls. Trust me. So I've tried to add something new. Some of the viewers who've been hanging in have now started to see I'm trying to do a little word association.
Okay.
So I'm doing 7 words with everybody. It's always the same 7 words, and I want to give you the word association. Give you the word. You give me what comes to mind after I say the word. Okay.
Chakra.
So, time.
Mapping.
Okay. Sport.
Don't watch. Just one word. Sorry.
No. It doesn't have to be one word.
Okay.
It's the word or phrase that comes to mind. Night.
Round table.
Okay. Work.
Stressful.
Comedy.
Failing.
car?
Out front.
Okay. And water.
Good.
Okay.
I like water. Very boring.
I've been very interested with the way this has come out with these because I've gotten a lot of interesting responses from these. So I'm probably going to get a few more and then start trying to put them up and see what people's responses are. As far as I'm going to put them all together on Facebook and show what the different responses are. But it's neat to see where people's heads go with each answer.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to make sure that I put all these up so people will be able to see them on Facebook and everybody can kind of see what people say under each one. So we've had a couple. I think the stressful one has popped up multiple times.
Yeah, for lack of a better. I mean, yeah, it's how do you do in few words? Again, even just few words. Usually, it's like, what do you say?
Yeah, well, some people, I find it interesting what some people depends on their job, and what they do. Like some people, their job just isn't stressful. It can be, it can be menial, but not terribly stressful. Like for me, it's not like I work in an office and it's not terribly stressful, but it's also not like the most engaging thing I could do. So it's, excuse me, it's not it's not like I'm, constantly, doing. It's a small office, so I'm not like always. With only 7-8 people in the office, there's not a million things to do. If you're the IT guy and the general office manager or assistant in the office, things don't break down that much. If you do it right, you're not going to be fixing and rebuilding a whole computer every day. Yeah. So, you have, you're sitting there kind of like, okay, it's quiet. And that can get to, well, you think so, but it can get to you more.
True.
Yeah, it can eat away at you more than, more than being busy. Because when you're busy, I've had days where, stuff is going on. I've got to fix this or take care of that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, it's lunch. And then you go back and you're like, okay, we got that done. And oh shit, I'm leaving in 15 minutes. And you don't realize how fast time goes.
True.
And that's true for some people. So it helps. But yeah, it would be nice. Like I know people who are always like, oh, I'm busy every day. I'm on my feet. To have a job like yours would be. I'm like, no, it's for a day. Yeah. I get it. If you're running around crazy, to have a job where you can just relax, be at the computer, take care of a few things, type some stuff, great. But to have that every day, most people will be like, nah.
What's your philosophy behind work in general?
I mean, I know everybody says the whole, be happy with what you do and, and all that. And I mean, and that's true, but, at some point you can always find what you want to do. I never really knew hardcore what I wanted to do. There was never like a time in my life where I was like, I want to do this. Education was something I wanted to do for a while. But as we had mentioned before we had gone on air, and it was just something that I was like, yeah, I wanted to do that. And then it went from, just general teacher to photography teacher, but it never, it was always tough to find like a thing that drove me. Like even at teaching, it wasn't like, I was like, yeah, that would be good, but then I just started to fade away from it. Like I think if I would have been doing it now, I would be burned out. I would have been burned out long by now. Yeah. And so it's been hard to say like what in the world I wanted to actually do. Like if you could say, here, whatever training you want, whatever you want to do, we'll send you to school. What do you want? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to say what that philosophy would be. I mean, people have to find what gets them by. I mean, like I said, right now I have a job. I'm happy with my job. I'm not complaining about my job. I like where I am. I like the people I work for. I like where I'm at. I get paid. And I've got my house, my life, my living, and everything because of it. So I can't argue. I know some people who would take that and be like, oh, fuck it. I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to move out to California because... Oh, well, maybe. I've seen a lot of, I've known people who would do that. They'll be like, I'm going to take my money that I have on a whim, take my savings, buy a small place over there and rent, and then try to get a new job. Right. I just, it's hard for me.
Yeah. It makes sense. Well, it's a big move.
Well, I mean,
things can go wrong. People don't realize if you listen to enough history, and also about like common stuff. There's some great podcasts on like everyday people in history and things like that, or people of I shouldn't say even lesser note. I should say interesting people in history that you pass over, but people have put together stories of that, and then you realize how many times like things just went tits up. and their
Yeah.
family was forever changed
Yeah, it's
for that kind of stuff. So it's a risk. Some people are just like, no, it's fine. And there is stability in America. Somewhat, some things you can do.
Yeah, it's tough. Like my cousin, I was talking to you earlier as well. He owns his own business. He owns a deli restaurant. Great. I mean, it's fantastic. It's a great place. Sorry, still waiting on this congestion to clear up a little bit.
Gotcha.
But he's got this place. He's always owned his own business ever since I've known the man. Ever since I was a kid, he's always owned his own business and done his own thing for himself. And he, among other people, have always told me, go do your own thing. Go, like especially because I was a woodworker. I still am. I still have a wood shop. I make pens like this little guy
cool.
here that's hanging out. So I do little things like that. And people have always told me, go into business, but it's scary.
Oh yeah.
Like I watch so many businesses come, go, disappear, and that's terrifying. Like my job right now, it's an income. It's not going anywhere.
True.
We're what we are, and we're comfortable. And I'm like, that's reassuring. My wife works for a hospital. That's not going anywhere.
Great gig.
Right. So it feels like, okay, why would I want to take that chance and throw away that to go try something on my own?
Yeah.
It is. It's a little scary for me. And I know some people have the balls to do it. Congratulations if you can go do your own business. Whoever's out there that does it and has their own thing and can do it. I mean, great. This is like the venture for me, like doing this. Like maybe
okay.
it was going to be something and, it's not terribly big, but it was the idea of let me push something out there and see what I can make of it. But
so do you know what I do for a living?
no, I was meaning to ask next. So that's what I was.
I'm a creative director of a college.
Okay.
So I like to make stuff too, which is interesting. So when you
Right.
said the pen's very interesting. So is the fear obviously jumping all the way in, but can't you just kind of put your foot in?
Well, I've already had my
wanted to?
foot in
Oh,
because
okay.
being working with that stuff, I've done craft shows
Right.
and things like that.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's
It's a lot of work.
It is. It's a lot of work. My weekends go away.
Right, of
and
course.
I'm traveling to these different shows and hoping to God I can make money. And
Online.
See, but I've tried the online thing.
Yeah.
Now,
Did the SEO go downhill?
well, no. So I'm gonna give you the exact example. So a lot of the things I do with the pens now, seeing as I have a regular 9 to 5 and
Well, of
life
course,
and other
this
things
is
like
gonna
that.
be-
So if I make pens, and a lot of times what I see is somebody else, because this is what's called a Gatsby style pen. It's in olive wood. This is olive wood green, which is it's gorgeous. It's a great wood. It's fantastic, stable, real smooth, solid wood. Now, I do pens in acrylic, I do pens in wood, and all the green and all the acrylic all look different. So the problem is if I took this pen and said, okay, here's an olive wood pen, and I put it on there, and I took the best one that I found that I made out of olive wood and put it up there and then said, hey, buy an olive wood pen. And somebody goes, wow, that's really great. They buy it. Well, they get another olive wood pen. It's not the same grain. It doesn't look as great, and now they don't like it. Otherwise, every single pen I do, I would have to take a picture. I'd have to post it. It's time consuming. I've tried it on a site. It got it got expensive. Now, again, this was a while ago, back when SSL certificates were a lot more expensive and things like that. So I tried to go through it, and it was like, I can't get an SSL cert. I would have to do everything through PayPal. Because, again, like I said, back in the time.
Oh, right, of
but
course.
everything I would have had to do would have been through PayPal, and then it would have been time consuming. So,
yeah, true.
and if I still did craft shows,
Ugh,
if-
I would not go to a craft show, right?
well, yeah, but when you can get a
You
table
get
for
it.
$50 and you can have
True.
all your wares out there,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not.
Welcome
it
to the
wasn't bad.
business in your head business hour.
Yeah, that's what this is, man. We gotta start talking like we're on NPR.
No, it's no. I love talking about like it's a shame because as someone who clearly doesn't have but I technically as a freelance designer, who completely can't operate independently, but because he works for like his alma mater, which just is kind of like, oh, I work for here. It's just kind of like a given. Then it's like, well, so I have like some presence of like that. It was kind of always this thing of like, I have to run this kind of road for a while.
Okay.
Of this very nice job. And when I put stressful down, it's only because it's like the time of the year. It's like everything's ending. The students are graduating.
yeah.
So I'm
Oh,
just
God.
putting together. Yeah, it's just presentations and stuff flying in and flying out. And you always worry that within the creative, in a marketing, if you don't know, I keep saying creative. Some people are like, what does that mean? Marketing, advertising, blah, blah, blah. You always worry about that because when things are flying in and out quickly, there's a room for a mistake. That's just
Right.
that simple, and
Yeah.
it's not good for also a art creative college to then have said mistakes.
Yeah,
So
no, I hear
you got to know what you're paying attention to. But I always wanted to have and plan on having what is now called, kids, if you don't know, a side gig. They're called side gigs now, and it's
No,
interesting.
kids know that, but it's not about
Yeah.
jobs.
No, yeah. Look at you.
You think I've been
really-
hanging out at High Note for 2 years and I haven't picked up a little bit? Come on
Really
now.
big show. Really big show.
Thanks.
Why am I
You're
doing
gonna put me
Carson?
there? Come on.
Why am I doing
Where'd that
Carson?
come from?
Just because it was such a beautiful, nice little thing.
Sorry.
Nice
man, that's-
little silly bit there. Side gig. Look at you. But it always interests me on these little side gigs people have, because really, honestly, now it is, and I get you on that. I would absolutely, because but you found your thing. See, I can't figure out what my side gig should be. That's the problem. And I also do
Right.
full time and then plus comedy, and I still am like, what could my side be? What could be an easy thing? Again, something. And I'm not saying yours is easy. I'm saying like, if you could make a pen a week, like even let's say if you could make a pen a week. I don't know your timeline. I'm thinking
Right.
of this for myself. What can I make a week? Which I know what I can make a week. I just need to fucking do it. Make a week, right? If you do that, then basically just from that point, and then just list everything. All right, I can make a pen a week if I start doing it now and do it for this many times, and then, for 3 months.
Right.
Do that, load up a stock, push that out, and then here's how I'm going to do that X, Y, and Z. And
Right.
me and you can talk more about that off air, because obviously
I
they'll fall
hear you.
asleep.
No,
It's
I hear
interesting
you.
because it's a cool pen.
Yeah, and I mean, I've
It's
loved doing
pretty-
it. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff I do with woodworking. There's other projects that
That's
I make,
another thing you're
bottle
concerned- yeah.
stoppers, things like that. But every project, and again, I'm not making a ton of money where we are, so that becomes an issue. So like I recently, like back in January or February, I was like, okay, I was out of stock, and I had to go buy stuff. So I was like, I need new blank. Well, I didn't really need any blanks, but I needed new pens, because I get the wood blanks, which is what fills in here. So for anybody
Right.
who's looking, I get the wood blanks, which is here, and then I get the parts, which is everything metal, and then the guts that are inside the pen, which includes the refills, mechanisms, everything that makes it, twist and do its little pretty thing.
Yeah.
So I do all the woodworking down in my basement in my shop, and this is all turned, finished, done, polished, however it's all done, and then it's sold. So the thing was, I had been just doing little odds and ends for people. They'd be like, I want a pen for this person. Okay, I make a pen. Here's what I got. I turned out a pen. Boom, done. Here's a pen. Cash. Simple. So then the problem became, I was like, shit, I'm running out of pens. Like, I have blanks for days. I have lumber down there. Like,
Right.
it's probably a fire hazard, but there's enough lumber to get me by. But the pens I needed. Well, now if I decide to go buy 20 pens,
It's an investment.
I'm out over $200.
Right.
So it's like, damn. So each time I do that, I'm like, okay, great. If I'm out $20, well, or $200, yeah, that's money I can be using for other things here around the house. And it does become that kind of thing when you're dealing with a house. And a lot of people that I know don't understand that or appreciate it, because it's like,
No.
I have a mortgage, I have a car payment, I have things that go on. The car you saw out front is not mine. Mine's in the shop. I'm
Gotcha.
getting $750 worth of work done.
There it is.
Yeah, thanks to you know what? There you go. This is why I call that last part full circle, the circles, because it comes back. Because the trip that I took to get these fucking pen parts destroyed my rims. I hit a nasty pothole on 95,
I did the same.
and it damaged 3 of my rims.
Whoa.
It was, I mean, like this, folks. It was no joke. I hit it, and I heard kang kang as it just went through. Yeah, hit 3 and put a bubble in one tire, so I know it wasn't messing around. And then I took it in and said, "What's going on?" I know I'm getting animated, but this is what spending $750.
It's the worst, because you
happens
know
to be.
what? Yeah. Well, you know what check you signed that with that pen.
Yeah,
That
well-
it says very nice pen. It's, God damn it, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and
Dude,
so
I just did the same thing. I got only one tire, but yeah, I literally had a dent where it was like the tire. When you heard the bottom of the car hit the road, do you know what I mean? That kind of like
yeah.
boom. And I was like, not only did I hear, it wasn't clunk clunk, like it was like boom. Like I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
We kind of looked over at each other. Me and my girlfriend, she got mad at me. She was the one driving, which all the way she got mad at me because I you ever done it? I don't know how you drive with your wife. Do you guys have a bad time driving?
No, it's not so bad.
No?
No, I mean,
That's good. Well, you are married to her, so it's good that you picked the right one that works with you.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to get mad at her because I spend too much time. Well, because I have a manual transmission, so that is way too much concentration to get mad at each other unless we're like cruising somewhere. So
Right.
it's
makes sense.
If
I
you're,
totally get you.
it's we're not too bad with it. No,
I
like
got
I
you.
wouldn't get mad at her for something she did while driving.
Okay.
But that's
It's
a new
not
one.
like-
I've never heard that before. Yeah.
Really? What?
I never heard somebody being like, "I'm driving and I'm getting mad at you in the passenger seat." That's a new one.
It's only because of that terrible thing that you might do it's from like two drivers. Like we predominantly are driving our own cars, and then you forget when you get into the passenger seat, you start to have reactions as if you're, which is bad to do. Hence the term backseat driver.
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
invisible brake and all that good
The
shit
whole
that
thing.
we do, yeah.
But like genuinely, I want to just put this out there. I just avoid my girlfriend probably won't watch this either. So here's the weird thing. She has openly to other people and me said that she finds driving boring. I want you to imagine that someone you're driving with, that has your hands, they're your life in their hands.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And they are actively trying to kill you and say that they are basically bored out of their mind 10 minutes into the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I rewound this and you could see the look in my face when you said that she's bored driving, as someone who drives a manual transmission and has to pay that much more attention, I'm like, that's scary.
Yeah, it's 100%
that's
scary.
Yeah,
it's very terrifying. So it's like one of those things where we will have miscommunication of just like, but this pothole, which again, yes, she hit, but she couldn't avoid it. My first reaction was literally like, it was dark. It was not even during the day. It's dark. It hit, and right before that, I guess I had maybe been like, hey, could you not, or maybe invisible brake? Maybe I did. I don't know, but I might have already. And she'd been like, will you relax? You know what I mean? She gave me one of those, right? It's like, all right. Maybe I'm being a jerk. You don't want to be the jerk man who's like been trying to tell. I was like, it's fine. But I genuinely just brought it up to her. I was like, man, that didn't sound good. Like that was like, I just genuinely was just like, that's something. I knew it immediately when it happened. I was like,
that's a trip to the shop.
That's something. And she was like, well, if you didn't, I swear to God, she wants me, this is her statement. She's like, well, if you didn't react, like I might have been like, like pothole, like she was going to hit it anyway, but you can't help it. It's just it's like, pothole, like, like that. Well, if you didn't react, then I wouldn't have reacted to your reaction. I was like, you didn't react at all. You didn't, you didn't move. You still hit the pothole. You couldn't have not hit the pothole. Like this is the kind of stuff I get upset about. This is why my hair is blonde and I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Even though just by having like, a normal 401k, living in the city, I still at some level I'm just like, you could just say sorry. Like you didn't have to. You could just be like, that's my bad. And I just don't understand why she just doesn't go, my bad. Like if she just said, I'm sorry, I'd have been like, yeah, dude, it's fine. You couldn't have hit it. It came out of nowhere. It was gigantic. It was huge. It blows my mind. And these people, when that happens, but I'm just that type of person. I'm just like one person who will overthink the most minute detail, especially in human nature. It's why I actually enjoy In Your Head. Is also in sociology and psychology. I will examine just the simplest thought. I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I've also listened to a bunch of just, try to keep up with new science coming out. So it's just, I think I know what I'm talking about all the time, like a jerk off, just 100% a jerk off. So it's one of those things. Yeah, that gets me. I don't know what kind of stuff do you have, that kind of stuff that gets you. That's just like a little like.
I mean, I think we all have our buttons.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. If you ask me to do something and then you like second guess my ability to do it.
Ooh. Yeah, that's
like if you said to me like, "Hey Jesse, can you set up that board over there? Can you set up the soundboard?" And I like, "Yeah, sure, I'll set up for you." And then you're like, "Wait, this isn't right." Like,
Okay.
You just called me here to do this. Don't tell me now you know better. Why are you? You get what I'm saying?
Why say anything? So two anal retentive people bumping into each other, because I feel like some people will be like, oh yeah, I do it this way with the thing, and you're like, dude, do you want me to do this or what's
yeah?
up?
But it's not even like that. Like if I've had it where somebody will be like, oh, help me. Oh God, I know I just said earlier, but it's like, oh, can you help me set up this computer or do something like this? Okay, sure, and I'll tell them and I'll set it up for them or do whatever they need to do, and I'm like, don't you think this is like? No, I think this is the way it needs to be done. You're asking me for my help. You're telling me you need this done.
Right.
Don't tell me now you know what's better, because
Right,
you probably don't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here.
Right, exactly.
So that's definitely
100%. And also, especially for what you do, should be your mentality
right.
with IT. It's just kind of like, well, dude, you heard one thing offhanded, or you read something in like a magazine or something. It's like, stop, a forum, just like you also don't know what I know, just stop and just listen, let me set it up. Now if it lights on fire after I leave here, okay, true, my bad, but give
me a hard time, please.
yeah it's that's IT. That's 100%, especially oh man,
I'm sure any IT guy who's out there watching this is probably cringing right now, because he's probably thinking of the exact same thing, going, oh my God, I've had 100 experiences like that.
Right.
And it's kind of a shame, but that's one of the things that gets me. Oh yeah, absolutely, that'll get me wound up, which is fair, because I used to have issues with that at my job. Like somebody would call me to do a job and I'd be like, oh, do this, and I'm like, okay, sure, and I do it. Oh, I don't know, and it would be like, don't pull that shit. It was
it's seeing a little rage under Jesse right now. Oh boy,
keep it pretty well capped up.
I do. Yeah, no, we can tell that too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they can see it.
They're like, dude, Jesse's about to explode. You can tell.
No,
it never comes out, does it?
No, it's there's certain things, like my X factors are pretty well under control.
Right.
That used to be there. I'm not gonna lie, I used to be hot-headed growing up.
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was.
I can tell.
Growing up, I was really hot-headed for one reason or another, which I'll probably talk to you off air, but because they don't need to hear about all of it. But I had my reasons for being defensive and being angry a lot, and I was. And it's unfortunate. It sucked, but fortunately for me, I've gotten myself pretty calm and under control, so that kind of stuff doesn't happen. I get frustrated with stuff, I mean, anybody does, especially like we said, somebody trying to fix something. Like when I'm trying to fix something, I've been spending, again, talking about my cousin's place, spending the last month at his place sorting out his POS system, his wiring, and everything I can for this. And when there's something there, I'm not saying like if it was built by somebody who does this. They're like, oh, here's a POS system. Here you go. And he tells them basically what he wants. And now he's got it. And he goes, hey, Jess, it's a little fucked up. Can you help? So my problem is when I'm like, okay, sure, we'll set this, move this, take care of that. When there's something that I can't do, I can feel my brain just start to just smoke. Like I can feel it. And I'm like, it's not like an anger, but it's like, I know I can do this. I know it's there. I can handle this. Why can't I get it? And it's like, and then as soon as I finally do, it's like this huge relief that happens. And so, perfect example, I'll tell everybody out there. So I have a Sega Saturn. If you remember that old system from way back in the day, great system. I have a Sega Saturn, and the CD laser was dying. So I'm like, I'm going to order a laser. I'm going to replace the laser. I can solder. I can do whatever. I'm sure I can fix this thing. So I get this thing, take it. Everything looks simple. Switch it out, put it in, new cables, everything's done, plug it back in, nothing. Won't recognize the CD-ROM. I'm like, weird. Checked it out, cleaned it, everything. Nothing. Won't recognize it. So I'm starting to get that worked up feeling. I'm like, I'm going over him and looking. I'm like, is it not sliding? Is it not moving? Everything feels like it's gone. I mean, and I'm worked up. I'm like, why is this not working? And I'm getting so angry at it. And then I'm like, I got to check online. There's got to be something. Yeah. And lo and behold, I go online, and this guy says that these replacement ones tend to have, there's one spot that there's two solder joints that are extremely close together. And they will sometimes, when they do it aftermarket, they'll bubble them together. Just desolder it, and it'll clean it up. And you'll have, because that connection's made, it doesn't know what to do. So what do? I desolder that, boom, stupid thing works. And I felt this wave of relief. And it's like, it's I guess for people who don't fix stuff, they don't understand what that's like, because we all know people who just don't want to fix something. They don't want to do anything.
Yeah, of course.
most of the society today.
Yeah.
And they don't know like what it's like to not fix something. I'm like, just have that thing there. I'm like, I can do this. I can get it working.
Yeah.
I know I can do it. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's not like it's snapped in half.
Right.
But I'm like, it's there. I can do it. And just to not be able to do it bothers the daylights out of me.
Yeah, I have that. I mean, if anybody does web, it's always the same thing. It's just coding. It's just a coding. It's just like, I know this is possible. I'm not even, if it's parts that I'm getting into like back end stuff and then I have to get into like calculus, I'm like, all right, well, that might not be, I'm going to have to sit here and try to, that's another time. But like most front end stuff is just kind of like, this is easy. We can figure this out. And then, you trial and error.
Yeah.
But that relief, dude, is really important. And I feel like I just started doing household stuff. Not that I didn't do household stuff before, but I mean, like, literally, I guess, because I'm also in the city, it's like no space. So it's one of those things where it's like, even my own car, I always feel bad about my car because I want to try to actually get in more to like fix something, do something just with it, just be like, oh yeah, I can do more. It's, I could do more with it. There's just no room to do, even changing oil, basic stuff. It's like, all right, so I can either take it to the guy around the corner who I actually end up dropping off my oil to anyway, and have him do the inspection and make sure everything's fine. I usually always end up making them do, it's just like, hey, just do the point, just because again, we hit potholes like no one's business.
This area, the tri-state area, is just, it's a minefield.
Temperate climate, baby. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. But then you go to like other parts of, where was I? I was in, just even going west, just in PA. We drove to Chicago not too long ago and was thoroughly impressed with the quality of the roads. And I was kind of like, how is it that I'm like, what are we not doing that apparently
it's the temperate climate?
It was temperate climate, but like it's through Chicago. Like these people are getting snow as well. I'm just like, what are we not doing? I don't know if is it just because New Jersey is too close to us and they can sense it? Like New Jersey just kind of like gives the extra potholes to PA, or PA is doing the opposite.
No, we're definitely picking some up over here in Jersey. There's no doubt about that. We are getting a lot. And I mean, it's...
Again, this is New Jersey Pothole Hour. Don't forget, take third home. God. Do not go down fourth, all right? It's Pothole City, guys. Just don't forget that.
But yeah, it's the way it is. It's a mess. And
$700 is a mess. I want to say, just for you people who are just like, why are they talking about potholes? $700.
Yeah, when you're...
I want you to think about it, all right?
I-95 northbound, there was a chunk... I mean, I'm telling you, there was a chunk of road that was just out, and there was no getting around it. Yeah, I was at full gallop at 65, and it was so long. That's what happened. It was that long, and because you went into it, it was just I hit, and then it just pinched and hit the wheel.
So this is what,
and it's horrible. Yeah. So anybody out there who has a car, especially with low profile tires, there's no getting around it. You're in trouble. It's.
But people don't get that can ruin. I realized early on was like, even if you get in like tickets and stuff like that, you don't realize early on, like if you're not ready to take a big hit. This again, it goes back to like the change of like, oh, I'm just moving just to LA or something like that. There's a lot of scary stuff. Like, yeah, sure, it's tires, and look, unfortunately, you had to pay it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I just gave $10 to a guy who was trying to get to Millville at Dunkin' Donuts. All right, just because he was like telling me his life story is fine. I felt sympathetic. I was like, here, man, just take it. I hope you can figure out how to just get there. He knows what bus to take and all. Because it possibly at one point he hit some potholes and he took out 3 of his tires and he went, I don't have $700.
Yeah. I mean,
and I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just the end of, I can't get to my job, and then I can't do this, and then I can't, and now bills are due. Like, it's scary sometimes. It's why people, you say they don't appreciate it, don't realize about mortgages and stuff like that. Man,
all it takes is a hot water heater to go, or something major to go in your house or something like that. And people don't realize it's like, there's stuff, and I can't just be like, I'm going to go buy all this stuff. I'm going to go, you can't. That stuff kind of goes away. You don't stop living. To be fair, it's not like I stopped living. I'm not, I'm married, I'm dead, I sit in my house, I'm bored. No, my birthday present for this year was a pile of lumber. What did I build with said pile of lumber? An axe throwing target in my backyard.
That's awesome.
So
axe throwing.
Yeah. So you make those little things, and oh hi, there's a cat.
Yeah.
Yep, there she is.
There she is.
So, but you do those things, but you've got to be smart, and it's hard. Some people don't want to make those commitments, and they don't want to have that that choice. And I've seen a lot of people growing up, and it does seem to be a lot in the comic world. A lot of these guys, they, you know, you hear about them, they don't, you know, I mean, I know I'm one of the older guys there, somehow. I mean, it's weird. I don't feel like the oldest, but I am. I'm like one of the oldest guys there. Yeah. And it feels weird that these guys are, like, I've been married for 3 years, and I've been with my wife for 10.
Okay.
So, but I mean, within a year, like, we knew each other, and we moved in together in 6 months because it was too much to commute. She moved down here. Right. And then within a year after that, we owned this house.
Nice.
Because it was like, we're just going to get our stuff together. And it sounds like a weird story, but it was like, instead of a wedding, we didn't care about a wedding. We were like, we could put a ton of money into a wedding and live in an apartment and keep paying somebody else rent.
Right.
Or we can just get a house.
Yeah.
And not worry about having a big wedding. And it was never a big thing to us.
Ooh, calling out the millennials. Calling them out.
Weddings
are an issue that I get heated about.
Yeah.
I get hot and just anger.
Because you don't care for the big wedding?
I do not give a shit about big weddings at all.
That's fair.
And it's annoying. And my buddy, who I'm sure I will actually, the only person I will send this to will be my best friend. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jess.
That's okay.
No. I mean, like, legitimately, best friends.
Like, yo, dude, you gotta go. Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, like, in terms of best friends.
Okay.
Some people, I'm sorry, you're not my best one. But I will send it to him, especially I want to know he gets it because he needs to, because he needs to know how I feel about the wedding I have to go to. But he's actually somebody who I would say that one has had his stuff together, even though he will try to convince you he hasn't. But it's since he was about 17 when he joined, like, the Army National Guard. Like, you know, just like, I'm doing that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to NGIT. Like, I'm going to just, boom, 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 right?
Yeah.
Still to this day, will tell you that, and he's just like a, you know, if he has, like, you know, if he gets a 30-pack of Genesee, 30-pack of Genesee for $12.99, that's a plug, all right? It's a plug. Genesee, $12.99. It's insane. Cream ale. Get the cream ale. Okay, it'll take you. Get that, sit outside of a porch someplace and hang out, like, no big deal. And you'll be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, he's just like totally has his act together. Insane, right?
Yeah.
And when you talk about, like, somebody who almost forgot what we were talking about.
His wedding.
His wedding. Talking about somebody who's, like, not 100%, like, he's really begrudging. Loves the young lady. It's a shame when you have to have the thing of, like, oh, this is going to be another wedding where it's much more. She just wants to have it. Like, he's fine with having a wedding, but then when you start getting into $10,000 for, like, this portion of a thing that's not even the whole wedding, and you're like, like, why are we using it smart? Are we being smart about this?
No, I hear you. My wedding was a blur. And that's not for the normal reason a wedding's a blur, because everybody's like, oh, so hammered. No, I don't drink. I haven't drank since I was 21.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it was not that. I really remember about my wedding, I got to my parents' house because it was there. We had it in my parents' backyard and the next door neighbor's backyard. So we had a nice big open space. I got there in the morning. I was all situated and ready. Everything started to get ready. Friends and family started showing up. It was cool. Everybody started getting there. Then I remember, you know, we started the whole ceremony thing. We did the ceremony. Then we left right from there. We went and got our pictures taken. We came back. Next thing I remember was we were eating dinner. We hung out with my friends. I carried my drunk-ass friend back to his car. And then we left at some point at night.
Right.
I remember, and so if I knew that there was $20,000 that I could have had,
right,
because, and that's what I remember from my wedding. I don't not remember anything because it was like, oh, it was just a thing. No, I mean, I know I was having so much fun with my friends and family and having them around, but it just went so fucking fast. I mean, like, it really was like that quick. It felt like a blink between when I got there to, hey, we're starting the ceremony, so get over there, to, you know, okay, we're done with the pictures, let's get back to the house. And it just felt like everything was moving so quick. And the next time you look at your watch, you're like, holy shit, it's another hour going by.
Right.
And it's dark, and it just went that fast. And I'm like, you know, because you got to see everybody. You're stopping by every table.
So did you have a big wedding?
It wasn't big. I think it was maybe
Backyard.
maybe
so you're
70,
saving
80
money
people.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, but it wasn't a big wedding. We had
And you didn't spend a lot of money.
no.
That's good.
Exactly. And that's why we said that we weren't going to do that, because why would we want to spend that kind of money that
Well, some
we
people
could use?
Yeah. Well, wouldn't some people be like, hey, Jazz, well, we want to spend a bunch of money. Now, probably most of those people will get hammered anyway and just not remember it regardless. But yeah, 100%. We've all been to those weddings. But you're paying 20 grand, even more. We say 20 grand. I'm sure there's some privileged folks up there like 20 grand.
Yeah.
20 grand, please.
Wedding for presents.
Oh, jeez. I think the car rims we rode on might have been 20 grand. Whatever. But
Right.
it's one of those things where, yeah, I would say that 20 grand to save is amazing. And also, they're trying to say, here's the other argument, right? Hey, Jazz, we want to spend 20 grand. Let's keep using 20 to make sure that we do remember. Do you know what I mean? We want to make, if there's a donkey ride and then I slapped, a pillow with my dad's name on it. I don't know what the fuck
But
they do
if
at weddings.
you would have said to me, this is 20 grand for your wedding,
Okay.
you can't take that money for anything else. If you do not use this money for the wedding, every cent of it, anything you don't use for the wedding, going into the ether. Now, if you would have said that, I would have used the money.
Gotcha.
But see, the thing was, my
House.
parents were going to help.
House as well, right?
Well, right, exactly. So, but because my parents had said, look, because I told them that I was getting kind of pressured for it. I'm not going to lie. I was getting pressured. We were getting like, look, your sister's looking to get married. My sister was going to get engaged to her now husband. And it's like, they're about to get engaged. Are you guys going to, I'm like, we can't. We have a house. We can't put that money aside. We just can't. We couldn't do it. And my mom was like, look, we're going to give you each some money for it. I'm like, okay. So she was like, we can put the money towards it. Now, so when she gave us the money, it was like, okay, we can do it. We can put the wedding together. So like we did a smaller wedding. We did an easier thing, like we said. But if someone would have told me that we're going to give you X amount of money to have a wedding, but because when we didn't even use it all, she says, whatever you don't use, it's yours. It's your wedding present. That's your wedding present. So yeah, obviously we didn't need all of it. We had the catering, we had this and that, but other than that, it wasn't really terribly expensive. I think her mom paid for the dress, and so, so we had money left over, which we could set aside. We could use it for the honeymoon and stuff like that. We took a trip, but if you told me that $20,000 for a wedding and it just went away, it would have been like, if we didn't use it, it went away. Well, then yeah, I'm gonna spend every fucking dime.
Gotcha.
But when I knew that we had that money coming and there was no, we could use that money,
right? I
just felt like it was, having responsibilities and things like that, and to just like, I'm gonna throw this money away at a wedding on one day. And no, I couldn't. I couldn't. In all sensibility, I couldn't do it.
Right.
So,
well, sensibility being the correct word.
Yeah.
You seem like a logical man. You seem very logical, sense, rationality.
I try to be.
I want to interview you.
No, it's all good. It's I've tried to be logical. It's gotten me kind of where I'm at.
Right.
But it's kept me alive.
A lot of people. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people don't need to be rational to be alive. Unfortunately. That was a dig. That was a dig to all you out there that are a pain on this society. No.
But I think a lot of what you said about weddings, though, especially with millennials, is people that have these weddings is when they see that now their friend has this. Oh, look at the Facebook page. Look at all this. Look at what they did. Look at all this stuff. Well, now I think that they're doing it because of that. I think a lot of the stuff they do now, the engagements. Look at the engagement, the proposals that are out there.
God.
I mean, look at all that shit. It's just you have to show more to your friends. You have to show it off. Your vacation, your food, everything has to be shown off to your friends. It has to be better than your friends.
You're bought and sold. It's unfortunate, and I don't want to get into this because I will. Actually, a lot of people don't know how much I am, again, super, I don't want to say that I read 1984 and been like,
it's a great book.
Yeah, this is what, or just love Brazil and the movie Brazil and just be like, yeah, no, this is, I just do not connect. Let me put it this way. I use technology, again, creative director for college, but at the same time, technology is a tool in which we use to get a thing done. Yeah. I think a lot of folks have wrapped up their actual emotional lives into a lot of it. So, but from their perspective, I feel like they're like, hey, well, it's a lot of pressure right now for your wedding to be something special and for you to do something because I see all of this stuff on the little talkie phone box and things, and that's amazing. And I just want to go, I just want to rip the phone out of their hand and be like, what do you think a wedding should be?
Right.
Do you think it should be a carnival ride? Does it need to be a trip to, like, is that what you think a wedding is? Or is it something, again, what I would say is like a cool, like, you know, we would do ours down on like the farm where like my grandmother, you know, lived, and be like, you know, get like a tub full of beers.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. Now it's like, we got the photo booth, so everybody's got to stand out there, and they got, see, I knew that was going to be the look I was going to get as soon as I mentioned the photo booth.
Don't get me started, man. I don't want to get on this.
And that's all they do. They're not enjoying the wedding like they used to. They've got to get the pictures so they can post it and share it and show everybody what they were doing and show everybody how much of a fun time you're having.
Well, I'm an atheist too, so it just goes downhill from there, which is fine for whatever you want to believe. But I mean, it goes just like, you know, we would just go to the courthouse, but it could have a ceremony and things, you know, and stuff, which is fine.
Well, I'm atheist as well, so I just had my cousin, the one who owns the store, got ordained and actually did it.
Yeah.
He said he was. I was like, we got to find something. He was like, I'll do it.
But don't you just do it? Well, I know. I guess if you want to have it outside, you know, you can't just do the courthouse. Yeah, that makes sense. So you have to have someone who's officiating.
The court can officiate it.
Right.
I believe like the city can do it.
Yeah.
But like he was the actual officiant. Like his name is signed as the one who did the ceremony.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you still have to go to the town and say we need to apply for the certificate and all that bullshit. But if you go to the courthouse, I believe what you can do is you can just go, we're gonna get married in front of the judge, and it's like the town is doing it. It's like, we're the town, we recognize that we can marry you. And that's the way they do it, I'm pretty sure. So I'm probably going to get hate mail for that one because I might be wrong, but I'm sure it's something like that.
No, well, that's what I'm just wondering because I didn't know you. So, because I know I've heard of many people. I think even Noah Hule, I think he had gotten ordained. The story he told a couple of weeks ago was,
I've heard that
he had
story
ordained.
before,
I just don't know what he's ordained to do technically because if you're just doing it legally, do you know what I'm saying? You're just doing it legally.
When you're ordained, you're ordained as a minister under whatever church it's called. It's some United Church of God knows where. It's some.
I guess that's what I'm saying. If I don't want the church, but
no, but it's not really even a church. It's a non-denominational church. That's what they call it. It's a non-denominational church. There's honestly no church service. It's really just a website essentially that says you are now a minister of the church of wherever. You pay $30 and you, by the rules of the United States or the state that you're in. Now that you are now a minister of the church, you don't have to preach anything. You can show up in one side of your T-shirt that says "Hail Satan," and then the other one that says "Jesus loves all." It doesn't matter who you are. You're just like, hey, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you could marry along with like sea captains. I think I heard. If you're out there, you could just.
Yeah, that means that you're able because you are that minister. You can sign that paper, and that holds up in court.
You still? Oh, it holds up in court.
Yeah,
this is kind of blowing my mind. Probably, but I don't know if it's interesting to you people. But the thing I've always wondered is like, I don't need a church. Like I always thought it was like if you were becoming again, I've heard a lot of folks be like, I got the online degree. Actually, a lot of comedians I've heard of like done that for a friend and things like that. I have an interesting story from it. And then the weird thing, I just that's fine. But you're like non-denominational church.
It's very easy apparently.
And I'm like, well, why is it that I need to be from a church for you to? I get so confused.
Yeah, it's weird, but
I think it's probably because you can't have the judge come to your house. Like you can't have. I think you'd have to pay them. I don't know. I have to look into this more. I'm very annoyed because I just don't want to. It's nothing against if anybody's gonna write in about the atheist. I just whatever. It's still like organized religion. It's not you. All right, it's me. If I have to put that out to you, it's fine. Just do whatever you feel is right. But I just keep getting confused. My girlfriend would probably have done that. That's kind of where we're going like 4 years. So it's kind of like, a lot of people are like a while ago were like, you're gonna get married. I did that.
That was the thing we started to get tired of hearing. It was like, oh God. And I told people eventually, I was just like, every time somebody asks me that, I'm going to push it back a month. So just keep asking,
Oh,
and
push
we'll
it back
never
a
get.
month.
Yeah, I'll push it back a month. So just keep asking.
You just
So
have
it's like, oh, okay.
Just have a hate calendar
Somebody
at home.
asked me again. Boom. Now
Right.
it's back to July. Come on. Anybody else? Anybody else want to ask?
Just keep just a hate calendar. Mark, yeah, that's what you guys get. All right, your Snapchat. Look, this is what I mean. All right, this is what you get. Just Facebooking. That's great.
I had to start telling my relatives that because I
Yeah.
told them. I said, look, we bought a house instead of this. You know, instead of a wedding, we had a house.
Right.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're gonna do instead. It was, and everybody who asked me was like, well, when you got, when I can afford it,
So
when
moving
a bag of money
yeah.
falls out of the sky.
Really?
And that's what I told them. But that was kind of what my mom said when she told us the wedding gift. That was the bag of money that fell
So
out of the
moved
sky.
in 6 months, right? Moved in 6
It was
months.
about
Knew
6
each other
months.
6 months.
It was about 6 months.
Marriage came when?
Fuck no. See, now I gotta get the timelines on.
Who cares? It's not like average
No,
year.
I'm about right because
after
the cat's 10.
Oh, I love already. I love
We got
already.
we got the cat when we moved into the apartment.
You have to hold the cat
And
up,
she
count the
was a
rings.
kitten. No,
Just to
no, I
see.
know she's exactly 10 because she was born 448.
Gotcha.
That was what it said on her paper. She was born 448, so I
Okay.
knew she just turned 10. And we got her as a kitten.
Okay.
We moved into our apartment, and then a year later we got the house.
Okay.
So in 09,
2009. Yeah.
in 09, I think like late 2009, we got the house. So we had the house in 09, and then we
Gotcha.
were married in 15.
You got it. Also, adult move number 526 is always get a pet and then base off big events near the pet. Should be like, let's see, we got that lizard. Oh boy, what year? Yeah, Timmy just broke his collarbone. I think is when that happened. Yeah, and that's perfect. I love that. My memory's garbage, so that's a perfect.
Exactly.
method.
It's so bad, like trying to remember years. I'm like, God, how long has it been since we've been in the apartment? How long? Like, I have to be like, all right, when did we get the cat? Like, the cat's birthday is this. So now that's the only way I can remember.
Dude, a lot of people don't know this about it. Like, I legitimately don't remember most of my childhood. I don't know. Nothing happened that was terrible. I literally just don't. A lot of it's a blur. I'm not accurate on like a lot of it, and especially it's getting worse. Even I don't know what is going on, but yeah, I don't know when. Do you have like a really crisp childhood? Do you remember a good
Some
amount
stuff,
of it?
Some stuff I kind of pushed out, but some of it it's very crisp because a lot of it I remember. Most of the time, most of my youth was spent playing like sports, outdoor
Right.
activities. Like I not like organized sports, but we were hockey players. We would just show up at a hockey rink at noon and
Right.
leave when the sun exploded because that was basically how long we felt like we would stay
Right.
forever. And that's all we do. We just play sports, baseball, whatever the hell we wanted to do.
Right.
And that was most of my childhood.
Gotcha.
And then the story that I have from a few episodes back, which I won't bring back, but that was like a crisp 2 months that it's embedded. So I'll go into that one.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Because they heard this one about 3 episodes ago, so I'm not going to
Cool.
go back into that one.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I get you. I just, yeah, I feel like it's so many people I know. Just like, yeah, no, I can remember. Like, I mean, I remember things happening at 4, and I
No,
totally
definitely not
don't
that.
trust. Like, you're like, yeah, I
No.
think I was like, I don't trust most of my. I mean, I know, and I'll have, which bums me out. It's fine. It's okay. But like, even up till, I mean, I might 15. Some people are, there's things that happened when I was 15 and stuff like that. My family will be mentioned. I'm just like, oh. It's- which is fine and stupid and scary, but there's also like kind of scary. I don't know. I chalk it up to just being uneventful. I guess it just,
that might not be bad. That's understandable.
No, it's not a
I mean,
terrible
it's
thing.
better than just like blocking it out. Like, hopefully, it's not anything like that.
no,
But-
no. Uncle Touchy McPants. No, it's
yeah,
fine.
That's
Yeah, that's the stuff you worry about. You and the wife, very different childhoods, same childhood. You guys know each other from childhood.
extremely different.
Okay,
Oh no, she lived miles away.
gotcha.
She lived out in Pennsylvania when she grew up. So, we had very different childhoods. Hers was very, very, very different than mine. 100% different. So
Gotcha.
it was pretty crazy, but mine was pretty much standard.
Was she a Mormon or something? Is that where that's going? Oh, because I just happened to listen
she's gonna
to.
be so mad at me that I
You don't
can't.
need to get into it.
No,
It's-
she's just gonna be mad because I can't remember the actual religion.
religion. Okay, so it's
Because
fine.
I
it's-
want to say like Lutheran. I think it was something with an L.
Oh,
because she calls it
Pentecostal.
because she called it Catholic Light. Is the way she
Oh.
would always joke about.
Oh,
it. I can't-
Lyddite, no. We just went on, again, that road trip to Chicago. There was a guy that we were with. His, especially from Pennsylvania, same scenario.
Yeah.
The young lady he had married, she was from Pennsylvania, and Yeah, they don't drink, right?
No,
Do
it
they
wasn't
not-
anything like that. It was like Catholic light, as it was just they
Catholic
didn't give a
light.
shit. It was just like, oh, we go to church sometimes. And That was
Okay.
basically the way she explained it. That was basically
all right,
it.
that was it. So were you very religious?
I was. They tried to raise me religious, and the only thing it taught me was right and wrong. That's
Not
the
to
only thing
be a
religion
jerk.
taught me. Was
It's the
pretty.
only
I mean,
thing,
that's the
yeah.
only thing the church has right. Was like, stop fucking killing people, stop stealing shit,
Kind of.
don't break
yeah.
your neighbor's wife. Those 10 rules are pretty good.
Sort of.
Although they're
Yeah,
a little repetitive.
the 10. Yeah, of course.
But a lot of them, I mean, yeah, they teach you right and wrong, and it's like, okay, great. But then you look back at it and go, wow, pretty much every war we've ever fought has been about religion. Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Every war in history has been about religion. So, like, no, I'm not going to really keep getting into this because it's only going to make
getcha.
me, it just makes people angry. It's all it
Yeah.
really does. So I'm like, stay
Yeah.
away.
I gotcha.
So, I mean, it's
So how were
again,
they different? How were they? How was it different? How were you and the young
Oh,
lady?
how were we different? I
Like,
mean,
yeah, how was it completely
well,
different?
her childhood was. I don't know if she's gonna yell at me for talking about this.
Okay,
No, she really doesn't care because I don't think her.
She was
parents
found foraging out in the wilds.
Close. Like her biological father, I've never met.
Okay.
He was a deadbeat shithead in jail because he wasn't paying child support.
Gotcha.
Shit like that. Eventually.
Yeah.
Her mom had her own issues.
Mm.
Her mom was also dealing with physical issues, but then there was other things that had happened, and so there were those issues. She pretty much grew up raising herself and her brother.
Oh.
I mean, her mom was there, but she took a lot of the responsibility on herself.
It's like me and my girlfriend. That's like the exact same thing.
Yeah, she emancipated herself at 17.
Yeah.
So she did that, and then there was, so she did like that, and I pretty much just grew up in, regular blue collar America. Mom, dad, brother, sister, white picket fence, boring shit,
Right.
and that was pretty much it. It was like, yeah, that's what I knew, and it was, but she. It was Bethlehem, PA, so you can tell the area right there. I mean, the second time I went up to see her, I saw a man in an El Camino with a mullet that would rival anything.
Nice.
And it was like, I'm like, yep, now I know where I'm at.
There you
I know
go.
exactly where I'm at.
That's basically how it is. Some people make fun of it. Unfortunately, parts of it is true. Parts of it are just true. It just is what it is, man.
So,
There's just... We don't know why. We don't know how pockets remain pockets. And when you travel across this country, if you haven't traveled or just even taken a road trip, yeah, you'll just get into like a place. Like I remember going through driving like on the Bourbon Trail. So like going from like New Jersey to Florida and on there is like hitting Kentucky and hitting different distilleries, learning the history about bourbon and whiskey and things like that. And yeah, there are some places in West Virginia and Virginia, any of those states really, and it's just our state as well. Talk about the Pine Barrens. We can talk about about the history of the Pine Barrens, which is amazing. Just listen to that, and you're just like, what is up with these pockets of just weird? I think it's just fear because they're like, we don't want to leave or we can't. I don't know, and you just have these weird little pockets. You're just like, how do you still have a mullet?
That's the.
How do you still have my sister? This is true. My sister's a hairdresser. She's been a hairdresser, hairstylist, barber. She's very talented, like for 25, 30 years now. And the first thing you learn, I don't know if this is still true, but the first thing you learn how to cut, I'm not kidding, in when you go to get your certification is a mullet. And it was always my worry that was still around. Like they still make you do it to this day. Like
sure as hell hope not.
I hope not. It can't be to get your certification, get through school. It's like, well, everyone, we have to start from 101. This is your 101 class.
That's awful. That's a shame.
It's a mullet. All right, let's do this. And it's just a snip, and then I don't know what you do with the back. I guess nothing. But
you just let it go.
You just let it go. But that was 100% first thing that you had to cut was a mullet.
So I think we better move this thing along to
We
some
need to
extent.
get going.
I've got some stuff. Yeah, I think we've made it through there. So we're gonna move some stuff. I think. Well, the interview pretty much has happened over the last hour and a half.
I think we've done it.
Yeah. No. So, but before this whole thing started, I gave you the full circle test. So I gave you this thing. So I'm gonna pop that up for everybody to see. So I like this one.
That's fun.
It's interesting. It's good. You use just two colors.
Yes.
And I can definitely tell there's some art school background when I look at
course.
it. I could definitely see it. Well, I tell people it doesn't have to be artsy, but drive the point home of what you're what you're drawing. And most of the people who've seen it could see. Some people do stick figures, but there's story and there's stuff. So it's what it is. I think Vegas that was on here drew like 9 different fish.
Oh, okay.
And it was all fish there was one little fish, and then he was getting bigger and bigger until he got too big for the tank, and then he had passed away, and it was an empty tank. It wasn't like artistic, but it was cool. It told a story, and so I'm trying to understand a lot about this. So I see this is interesting in the middle here, which we had originally started out as boobs.
Unfortunately.
Which is fine. I mean, you're not the first one to draw.
I gotta be honest. I came in lazy, guys. I was like, all right, circles. God damn it. I felt bad. I'm glad that he said it, though. I'm glad you said it, Jess, because you gotta be like, yeah. And it's the right response, because I'm like, Neil, you paid all this money for I was actually gonna be just the guy who came on here and was just like, all right, you have a Bachelor of Fine Art degree. You can draw really well. You can draw anything you see. Let's make the best pair of boobs and genitals that anyone's seen, that anyone will ever draw here, because I know that every guy who comes in or any lady coming in as well or anything in between are going to come in and they're probably going to look at circles and be like, all right, let me draw, But I wanted to make the best ones. But then I was like, you know what? I know exactly what I want to draw. Put that in there. So you got a little clown nose, kind of wide-eyed. Yeah. I don't sleep much. If you guys can't see the bags under my eyes now, I don't sleep a lot. My girlfriend hates me, so I'm kind of just when we talk about just like stressed out as hell. I have American flag tattoos. That's that bottom one. Okay, I just have American. They ran out of the Nazi one, so that's a joke. You didn't laugh, and it's fine, gentlemen. It's a joke. It's not funny. It's a joke because people. Well, here's the thing. About me is I get annoyed when people ask me why I have American flag tattoos. As if I was born I don't understand the question. Like, you know what I mean? Again, another thing that I get very upset about immediately when it happens.
That's fair.
So you got a little, I did the Oingo Boingo clown thing, just because, But this is, comedy. I'm stressed out as crap. I barely sleep.
So I'm trying to figure out all the circles and lines and stuff. I mean,
it's just abstract form. I actually liked it, though. Yeah, you had a nice play with the 3-4-4. And then I was like, we at the school right now, our current seniors are actually playing with spots and the relationship, I should say, with circles, the relationship between them overlaid. This is going to get real boring and artsy for a lot of people, so I apologize. But just simple circles and then how they overlay and just the color combinations that when they overlay. And they're usually broken down into a grid shape and they're on a grid, and they're also conformed to a certain actual 4, 3, 4, sometimes 5 longer streams. And because their show's called Hue We Are, nailed it. I know it's kind of, but they jumped on it, and it's because they're different hues and blah blah. They jumped on it, run it. It's supposed to be just fun and silly. So that's why immediately when you presented me with circles, I've been looking at nothing but circles.
So you were probably the easiest time going at it than most people. Most people go, what the hell am I going to do with this? And
then it was just finding some fun relationships, but just using the 2 colors, and also the young lady. Another young lady at the school whose her thesis is actually around crop circles. So then again, I was just like, so let's do some abstract form. Let's see if we can find some little relationships as we pull back. Clearly, I watched Star Wars about 2 weeks ago. Just for funsies. So yeah, dude, it was just conscious, just moving, moving.
Well, that's what I like to see, where it comes from people, because everybody's got like a different way they take it and where they go with it. So I enjoy seeing where they go, and I know I'm a little behind in posting them, but I'm trying to post them all on the Facebook for everybody. Cool. So I'll have a nice big picture posted up on Facebook. I got to do that soon, so I'm going to do that for everybody, and then see where everybody goes, because there's a lot of interesting ones. So for anybody who is on the Facebook, go check that out, because there is a ton of all these different pictures. You can see where these people's minds go, and then when you see something like that and you see how crazy these pictures are, go, oh, I have to see what the hell this guy is going to talk about.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of, part of it.
Just not sleeping. Just don't sleep enough. It's just
I feel you for 100%. I'm right there with you.
I love your little rug. Look how awesome that is.
Yeah, so for people who can't see,
I can show you the world.
I am not putting a little Aladdin figure on here, but yeah, it's a little mouse rug.
Oh, what if the mouse was an Aladdin mouse? Sorry. All right.
No, I'm not going to go that far.
I know.
I'm not that big a Disney fan, sadly.
Oh,
so
I
I'm not going to go
hate Disney. Sorry. I hate Disney. Anyway, let's move on. No. Yeah,
so,
let's go.
But a question I try to ask all my guests, because I'm a bit of a gamer.
It's about 7 inches. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you?
No, definitely not that. No. definitely not where we were going with that. No, I ask everybody their favorite video game.
Oh,
And if it's a series, if you can
Okay.
narrow it down to one, like don't
Yes.
just say Final Fantasy.
no, that's
Fuck,
fine.
you know.
That's fine. This is an easy one for me,
Okay.
only because I haven't played video games in a long time, and I know that actually when I get back into them later in my life, which I know I will do, the same thing I want to do with like heroin. It's just
Everybody needs a hobby.
yeah, later down the road,
I mean, like you said,
I'm gonna
soon to be
get-
ex-girlfriend, so you need something to keep you busy.
Don't listen to them, world. Stop it, gentlemen. Get out there. Meet people. We're making mass shooters on the daily from this kind of stuff. I'm not saying video games are making it. It's more of just talk to people. Just get help if you need it.
I thought
So
it was more the heroin after breaking up with
that
somebody.
might also have something to do with it.
Well, that's in the news right now. That Golden State killer.
Oh yeah.
They said that was like a rough breakup, and the guy was just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go kill people," and that was it.
Oh, I mean ours amicable breakup.
Well, that's a bonus.
yeah.
I'm sorry, this is decongestant for anybody who's
Dude,
wondering.
you're-
This is not
yeah.
my Coke supply. This is just the menthol.
It would be the
decongestant.
goofiest Coke supply that's ever. Also the most inconspicuous. Like right,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're not even hiding it. It's just like
No, I'm just doing Coke.
yeah,
on
you know
there,
how
yeah.
it is. Anyway, come and get me, YouTube. Like so what were we talking about? Flags,
Your
disc,
game.
and game.
Favorite game,
Sorry,
yeah.
yes. I'm going to say but when you say this specific one, last one's I had a lot of
one
fun
in the
with.
series.
Okay, it's gonna be Prince of Persia.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the last one in that trilogy. I don't think there's been another one. Unfortunately, I just can't remember what it is. I think it's Prince of Persia, the last one that I played all three of them. So,
Right.
but the last one I would say would be the most recent. This was years ago. I loved I loved everything about it. I loved everything
Okay.
about the series. I also have played a lot of other games, but I would have to say, like, if you were to, again, like, hey, would you like to play that again? I would totally run through that
Yeah.
whole trilogy again.
See, that's one of the few I actually never played. The new ones, the remakes. I played the original,
Oh,
and it frustrated the dog shit out of me.
I didn't even know there was an original.
The original that used to be on like old computers and
Really?
shit way back in the day. If you've never played it,
Oh.
it's infuriating.
Really?
I guess anybody would tell you it's chunky, it's blocky.
Oh boy.
I mean, like the one you play now, the Prince of Persia. From what I know, it's pretty much like Tomb Raider, essentially.
Tomb
you're
Raider.
jumping, you're climbing, you're swinging and hopping.
Yeah.
And shit like that. Well,
with time warp
yeah,
thrown in, which is cool.
Right. So
Right.
right, this game was pretty much you were on a timer. You
Right.
had to beat the game in 60 minutes.
Ooh.
Like it was like, hey, here's 60 minutes, beat this game, and it was this huge place that you could just explore, and you'd have to finish a level, and then it'd be like, hey, you got 53 minutes left now, and it was never really like go this way. You'd have to go to somewhere, maybe trigger something that would open something, and it was just this giant thing with pitfalls and traps and instant death and a nightmare.
What
And then,
year
guys
was
with
this?
swords that wanted to fuck you up.
Right.
Year
Early 90s?
mid-80s.
Oh,
early
mid-80s.
80s. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we're talking
But this-
386 computers.
I wouldn't be surprised if. I feel like at one point in those games, when you hear about those games and things like that, weren't they also? And then now, when they're still making, what are they called? Pixel. I literally call them. I mean, pixel
like
art
the
games.
retro
But
games. Yeah, like
yeah,
the
they're
retro
making
pixel
which-
art games.
yeah. And it's always about like which some of our students actually have made a game in that vein. But it comes to be about the depth of the levels, right? Like how many there's 75 to 100, like the depth sometimes. It's not my style of game. I could not imagine trying to play that now. That would infuriate the shit out of me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can pick it up on any freeware. I
Oof.
think that there's like an internet archive that has all these old DOS games that you can play.
Oh boy.
That's what I'm saying. It's DOS.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
old. So you can play these old DOS games and try it, and it's so weird because he controls like shit. Like if you push forward to take a step, he kind of takes a little step. Like he'll take a step. Like sometimes to climb down something, it almost feels like one of those games where you're doing that surgery. Like you're one of those surgery games because it's like every little thing you do, he's going to respond.
Oh,
So you take that little step, but he's not just going to like grip, and because you have to climb down ledges. If you're too far away, or you don't hit the jump right, or you're not at the right stride, because you're striding and you jump on your stride. So if it's not like you just hit jump and he jumps.
jumps, right?
No, he has to wait till
Wait
his
till
foot
foot
hits the
falls.
ground, and then he jumps.
There he goes.
So it was really realistic,
Yeah.
but you also had no control. So once you start sprinting, he's just going to go, okay, I'm running. Tell me what to do. And he's like, okay, jump. He's like, I got to take a step. There's no floor here. Bye, fucker. And he's gone. And it was like, great, now I'm doing this whole shit over again. And
Yeah.
then they throw in assholes with swords.
Right.
So the first
course.
level, you get a sword. Then eventually you'll go to these places. It's like, oh, there's a guy with a sword, and he will sword fight you. Now you got to fight him to get to the next level, or
Yeah.
fight to get past. It's like, oh my god. So yeah, it's not as
That
good
sounds
as
like a nightmare.
it is. It's a
That
horrible.
sounds
And
like
that's why
everything.
when the new Prince of Persia came out, I was like,
You're like,
nope.
no.
No.
Well, right. They had done, yeah. They had clearly, after the movie, they were just like, hey, let's take Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal? Again, a guy playing an Indian person. I'm sorry, an Egyptian person.
Yeah.
Not a great look. It's fine. Let's move on. Again, I'm not a bleeding heart over here. It's just kind of like, just get a good looking. I mean, there's a couple of them. You can probably find some good looking folks, but anyway. And now I'm feeling like it's not Jake Gyllenhaal enough. You know what I mean? That was just like it wasn't.
No,
actually,
I think I remember.
it wasn't Jake
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal.
It was
Um,
totally not the. I wanted to see that either because again, like I said, when I heard Prince of Persia, I was like, blocked it out.
Right, you're like, ugh.
Nope.
I liked it. I think. Well, the movies, yeah, it's whatever. I actually was just more impressed with just like the gameplay. I thought was simple, but allowed itself for intricate fighting and things like that. And it was one of those that built off the Matrix.
Cool.
Games. So it was combinations, and the better your skills got and things like that, and you were getting different moves and things, and then you would upgrade the moves. I always thought that was
Okay.
such a great system.
Oh,
And this
yeah.
is boring, and I should move on.
No, I mean,
But I always liked that
I
system.
always do a little video game talking there because
Okay.
it's fun because everybody's got something a little bit different, and it's fun to see what draws people to different games. A lot of people have talked about RPGs. That seems to be the big thing.
I
like-
don't technically the role playing whatever blah blah blah. I think Prince of Persia falls under. That's the part where I did get lost.
Well-
When I hear RPGs, I kind of think of mostly of a single shooter, but that's different, correct?
Yeah, that's an FPS. Yeah,
That's
that's usually a
FPS,
first-person
okay.
shooter. An
Yeah.
RPG can be anything from like a Final Fantasy, where it's
Okay.
like there is a story-driven thing, or
Right.
even like a
Lord of the Rings,
like an open world RPG, like a Fallout or something. Like
okay.
Fallout 3
Yeah.
or or
Those
Fallout 4.
RPGs. Okay.
And so because you're driving the story by doing what you're gonna
Right.
do to affect that story,
That
and
would be
so
the
they
same
call
thing.
that an RPG, but it is a shooter as well. It is a first-person shooter, well, first and third, whatever, but it is a shooter, so it's a shooter with RPG. It's a hell of a matchup.
Before
which
we
is,
move off this, because I'm like, okay, RPG, first person shooter. What are the other? I mean, the maze games. I don't know. I feel
you've
like
got,
I don't.
You've got shoot 'em ups, which is an old school, the old top-down plane shooters, which is one of my old favorites of games. Yeah, like Raiden or any like 1942 where you're controlling a plane. and
Oh,
you got,
yeah,
you-
playing games. Okay,
Yeah, so you
I
got
gotcha.
shoot 'em ups or side scrollers. So you got shoot 'em ups, which is always good. You got beat 'em ups or fighters.
Oh, okay, fine.
So you got a fighting game and the beat 'em ups, which are the side
True.
scrolling.
I guess
like,
that falls in like any Wii games and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
are those? Are
Yeah, there's the Wii games. I
I
mean,
don't
that's
know.
a tough one for a lot of those.
Athletic.
Wii games are really different as far as anything because those are the kind. Now that you're getting more involved in the game, yeah.
I don't
it
know what
definitely
those
doesn't
are.
fall in. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of game out
And
there.
then puzzle. I guess like anything.
Well, puzzle, yeah, puzzle.
Right. It's just. Like it sounds like the Prince of Persia one. I guess that's RPG, but it sounds like it sounds more.
well. There's
like puzzle
action
games.
adventure.
Mm.
I guess you can call it an adventure / puzzle game because I
Gotcha.
know from what I know of that game, it's like it was like okay, you have to get here, get the thing
Okay.
to know where it goes, and that if I'm remembering that game, you
Yeah.
have to find the stuff
I
in
gotcha.
advance. So
Okay.
because otherwise it was a linear game though, so it's kind of hard
Right.
to call it an RPG
Okay.
because you have to go from A to B and then they tell a story. Then you go from B to C and they tell a story. So
Gotcha.
it was a little harder to call it, a role playing game when, because you don't have a lot of choices. You don't tell how the story's going to go.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So
I
yeah,
always think I'm like missing out on some kind of, like it was like first person shooter. I was like, I feel like the majority of games
now
are either RPG, or and then anything else
Yeah.
is like retro games, and those can vary and things like that. But from
Yeah.
like basic, and then Pop-It games, which are again just more
Yeah.
puzzle and things like that. But okay,
yeah, and that's
I'm
pretty much
learning.
what people are doing. Yeah, and
learning.
what there's like Far Cry 5 that just came out, which is like a first person
never played
shooter.
Okay.
It's a first person shooter. It's actually, I think it's kind of a game you might enjoy because the story. See, I love the Far Cry games because the stories grab me.
Mm.
So the story of this game, I don't know how you get there, and it's out, so I'm sure the story you can look it up online by now. But you get dropped in this place called Hope County,
Mm.
and it's run by this quote unquote religious leader, and he runs this town with that iron fist.
Right.
Don't do what he does or don't do what he says, and you're pretty fucked.
Right.
That's basically what I got from the trailers and shit like that. And so you're, I guess, fighting against this and trying to stop it, and that's mostly what Far Cry is. And the game is first person, and you're dealing with the story, you're dealing with these people, and you're going around, I guess, this town, however it is. And so something like that kind of grabs me because you're engaged in what these people are doing,
Right.
and you feel like you have a stake. And that's what I like about those kind of games. Instead of just like, hey, you're a guy, go do this thing. Just,
that's the other type of game I was trying to think of. Like what kind of like Sims and Roller Coaster Tycoon games,
yeah,
like
Sims.
those.
That's what they are. Yeah, they're
Right,
Sims.
they're just Sims, right?
Yeah, those are fun.
Games.
Oh, those
genius, Neil. Well played. Sims.
Roller Coaster Tycoon is.
You remember that? I spent a lot of time on that. Do you?
I still have that game.
I used to get the most frustrated at that game. It was good, but as someone who thought he really could break down roller coaster amusement parks, like I was like, I know what I can already tell from a young age. Like, here's a flaw over here. You need to work out where these bathrooms are, dude. It's just gonna a 12-year-old. Just jerk face.
Yeah, but you could just have fun and screw around. I never could make it through the missions because I just got too bored of.
Was there missions?
Yeah, you were supposed to take a park and do something. Like I had Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, so maybe it was different than.
Yeah, no, I had two.
Like, it was like, yeah, hey, here's. I think the first one was like, hey, here's this space we're giving you that you
never got. Oh yeah,
and it's like you have to take it. And in 3 years, make it worth so much and make so much money. Exactly. I would just start dicking around. I'm like, it's like I see these idiots over here. They're like, oh, this guy badmouthed my park. Guess where you're going, asshole?
Yeah,
you're going into the endless loop. There's no way out of it. So you'd start doing stuff like that and just becoming a total masochist.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No, I would always just try. Mine became that while the park started. Maybe that was my problem. I couldn't remember if it was just like, hey, you have to start the park. And maybe I would always think that I open it. I would spend so much time building like the perfect roller coaster because that was like my favorite. Again, created like trying to be a creative guy. I was like, I gotta build a perfect roller coasters, and just everything will be perfect. Just put these other things, and it was not an anxiety kid at all. Just let me just put, and then that will be there, and it's fine. And I think I started the parks like way too early, but I'm trying to remember if it was just day one and the park needs to be open, or I think you got to pick.
Yeah, you could close the doors.
You could close the doors. I don't know why I could never just do that, but like I think I was like, no, let's get it up and running. It was fine, and then I'll go to build a roller coaster, like add a new roller coaster because people are getting bored, and then before you know it, it would just be like, I'd come over and like one of the kids is missing. You know what I mean? There's pedophiles like leaving the park with them, and it's just okay. How are they in there? Why did they write them in? One of the roller coasters is just they're all naked now on the roller coaster for no reason. It's just like they figured out how to take their clothes off. The children are crying. Like I have no idea, but it would just go terrible.
There was a lot going on in that game. Yeah, people would get lost. You'd have people getting sick, and trying to manage the money. It was a sim game, and it was hard. You're like, oh my God, I'm not making enough money, and
I can't
these
believe
people are mad because I'm charging $18 for a hot dog. Well, fuck them. And
you're like, if I go to Six Flags and I pay that, you're paying that. Like you're just
goddamn right. This is what they pay, man. I don't care if this is $19.90. You're gonna pay that goddamn money.
I can't even play video games now. If I probably got that game I probably would play it a couple of times and then never play it again because it's not addictive. That's what I mean. It's like think of like out of all the time of my day now, I was like, there's no place for you. Yeah. It's the sucky part about that. Like some people have gone and I'm just like, I can't even do that anymore.
To get myself sucked into building a bunch of cars and a goose ride. Yeah, I think we're out of that. So
yeah.
But I ask everybody when we get towards the end of this thing, I've kind of narrowed some of this down, but if you could go back to a point in your life, like a time or, I don't want to say like a day because I call this kind of like the Groundhog's Day choice, but if you could like take a time or a period, like some people have said like, oh, my freshman year of college or something like that, like a time period that you would want to go back to and stay there. Where would you want to go back and stay in that era?
I'm actually somebody who has made fun of people for saying they don't have regrets. Like if the people are always like, I have no regrets, I live without. I was like, how is that possible? Like, what are you talking about? But then at the same time, I'm also someone who's like, just live in the present. I would probably just go back to tomorrow.
Mm.
Nothing special. I just would do. That's the thing. I'd be like that jerk who's just like, yeah, it doesn't get any better. Life is what life is every day. I
Yeah.
can't think. Maybe there's like a day where it was like, and also I was down the shore. So it's kind of like it's kind of like, yeah, so now I'm just down the shore on a day.
Yeah.
But it's just life is what life is. It is what it is. Yeah, I would probably just say either that. Maybe when I was younger, it was like a little bit, but it has nothing to do with being younger. It's just like Cape May.
Well, it's
Like, it was
rougher
just like
because you're like you said earlier that it's like, oh, I don't remember much of my childhood. So I'm like, oh, well, that's gonna. I was like, as soon as you
I
said,
remember,
well, this
yeah.
question's gonna get fucking rough.
No, it's all right. No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's fine. I did. We used to go every once in a while to a tiny, tiny apartment that wasn't even ours. It was like our uncle's, like in Cape May, and those were always good. But I was also very lonely. Like, just because I was a baby male child, like a lot of women in my family. So it was me. Sometimes even, even my nephews and stuff like that, which I should say my nephew. My sister had children very young. So it was like I was an uncle when I was like 2. So yeah, it's true. And, but he might not even been there. So it's just me, my, the older sister and my mom. And it's just like, well, we're not playing catch with you. We're not doing anything. It's like, just you have to go meet friends. Like, just go meet friends. It's like, we only come here like once a year. Like, there's no time. When? What do you mean? I've got a week. I've got 5 days. And all of a sudden it became this like weird, have you ever seen Brewster's Millions?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It became this Brewster's Millions episode of just like, you've only got a week. Find friends for a lifetime. Like, it's strange scenario. So I would just say, yesterday is fine, I guess. I would say yesterday.
I mean, I've gotten that a few times, which is interesting.
Oh, good.
It's
people who like the present. They're not too pissed off.
Yeah.
About the
No, I
present.
mean, it's not like I would say like, oh, it's like, oh, where would I go back? It's like, I'm not like saying it to get away from a current time, but a lot of people have a thing like where they said, oh man, like one guy was like, oh man, when I met my wife, like a few months after we got, we had met. We were together all the time and that kind of stuff. So things like that is when I think people will be like, yeah, would you go back to the time you were happiest?
Yeah.
Which was
when my mom and my dad were together and I was 2 years old. I just cry.
No, because a lot of I used to originally ask that it was a 2-part question because it was originally like, if today was your last day on earth, how would you feel about the life you've led? Like, as far as the people you've met and the friends you've, and the life that you've kind of led. And I always say, don't tell me like I haven't done everything I wanted to do. No, I get that. But how would you feel about the connections you've made and the life you've led as far as being a person?
Gotcha.
And then it was always, so if you could go back now to a point in your life, where would you go back to? So that's why I ask it that way. But
nice.
So, I've kind of whittled the morbidity out of it, I guess.
I could see how asking. Well, actually, I mean, I think it's a great question. I could see how the frame. I think that you framed it in a proper way. Yeah, to have this kind of just like, where would you have to live if you had to live there, kind of every day. That's kind of an interesting thing. I also feel like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you're 36. I'm 29. Again, from the memory standpoint, here's this is gonna be terrible. It's like, yeah, I don't remember like I'm being like hourly great. I used to have really bad acne. I used to, you know what I mean? Only like baby, I was the baby of the family, only male.
Right. Well, that's why I wondered, like, maybe there was a time when you were like, oh man, I had this group of friends and we did this thing. That's why I always figured there's something like that.
You're adorable. This guy is so friendly. He's so nice. He's never gonna invite me back. This is usually how it happens. No, dude. I'm actually surprised that people said you've gotten that a couple of times. I'm actually surprised about that because I feel like, but they are comics. I want to say there's something about it, comics, where we are kind of just like the present is just kind of like here is where we exist. I'm not. I'd be interested in seeing what other people would say, maybe outside of comedy, when you start to get into, or
you might branch out and interview people that aren't comics, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm surprised a couple of them, what they would say.
Because it's not a living in the moment thing. I get it. Everybody, that's all we're doing. But some people, some people, it's like, I'm doing pretty good for myself right where I am. I'm happy with where I'm at,
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm looking like, we're married. Like, I would probably say, I wouldn't even want to do that because I was saying, let me go back to when we first got our house and when we were getting together. I'm like, when I first got this house, it was a bloody nightmare.
Oh yeah.
It was a nightmare because there was so much work to do in this house. To get it to just be reasonable was like nope, no, that wasn't it.
The human race, especially in terms of our conscious minds, we are not meant to, I think, which is the real crux of the argument, the real crux of our downfall. So we're really not meant to like play with hindsight's 2020. We're just not meant. It's just kind of like what if is why some people really lose their minds. Like it's really why they just can't deal. So I'm happy to actually hear some people just being like, yeah, yesterday was fine. Like, you know, it was a Sunday. I had 2 beers with some friends over there, and that was cool, and it was down the shore. It would be fine.
Yeah.
Also, I can think of some other better days as well. But it's if you're fine with it. Yeah,
exactly. And it's how you're gonna go forward is always the biggest thing. It's what you're gonna do going forward, because you can look back and say, I'm gonna look back. Oh, I would go back here and change it. No. I don't want you to change it, but just to go back and just live that.
Right,
day.
you're saying groundhog scenario, right?
Well,
so you're living the same day. Oh, that's what I thought.
Like time or a period. That's what I'm saying. Like a time, like I said,
and you had to live
like their
there.
freshman. Yeah, like I went back to my freshman year of college because it was like, oh man, I met this great group of friends, and I lived. So that's why I think it was. I can't remember who said it. It's been a while since that one, but you know that's why they said it. They're like, yeah, I met this. You know, this is when I had a really good tight group of friends, and it was a great feeling. So you know that like there's that time period. That's
yeah. Huh. I guess if I had to live there, yeah, it was whatever to say. But the interesting thing is again the living there, like the problem with the Groundhog's Day scenario. Why that movie's actually really good. For all the things that Harold Ramis did in that, it's the staying there is actually the much more interesting. That's why I just said yes. I was like, yeah, I mean, staying there would be fine. It would be interesting. I'd probably probably save some lives. There was a terrible fire. That'd be interesting. I'm like exploring yesterday in my head now. It's like there was like
yeah, no, but I don't mean
alarm
all that.
fire.
Getting all this.
Come on, let me try to live.
Man.
All right.
Well, because then we'd all be like, oh, I'd go back to September 11th and all.
I was in 7th grade.
Oh, you know.
What do I skip school and then get to New York to somehow stop
make a bunch
someone?
Of phone calls. I don't know.
Yeah. A phone call will be good.
Calls.
Yeah. Hey, this is James Neil John. Well, if I think my name is Neil James Neil John Wood.
His name's getting longer as the podcast goes on.
I'm in Hamilton, New Jersey, and it's 2001. 2 plays are gonna. They'd be like, "Come on, kid, what are you doing?" It's like, no, it would never work.
You need to. Well, you know that would be something someone would try to stop. But
I have a joke for that, and I will keep. Let's move on.
Save that for Wednesday.
Let's move on for Wednesday.
So, anyway, right around the end of this thing, I always make an ink blot for all of my guests.
Ooh, I've heard about this.
Yep, everybody gets an ink blot that they get to take with them, and I always let them get to see it. So, said ink blot for you is this one. So, what do you see in this ink blot?
I always see with a lot of ink blots, only because of the study of anatomy, I always see just a hip bone structure, especially.
A lot of these have been hip bones.
It's it's fine. It's okay. We can go with the secondary relationships. Let's shut and open again. That's a key trick if you never do that. Key trick again, obviously. You can get more of a buck there. That's interesting, right? Everything, of course, we always want to get eyes out of everything.
Yeah, a lot of definite human and facial characteristics.
Yeah, always with every ink blot. That's interesting. Also, you made these yourself?
Yes.
Really? Huh.
Just acrylic paper.
I'm seeing something in it. That's actually what.
Okay.
No, I just mess with you, and I'm just like, oh, you're a serial killer. This is what
26 or so of those in. I'm sure there's something to be said about all of them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Other than that, but I mean, yeah, there are some relationships. I think another third one. Let's see if I can get it.
Or flip it. I don't know. That's just the way I handed it to you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh wow. It feels totally different here when
it feels totally different. There you go.
Let me flip this over for everybody. We're gonna rotate this 180 degrees.
Totally
I clicked the wrong one.
We've got maybe a laughing skull. Very usual. Okay. A lot of things.
Flip that for everybody there.
Yeah.
That feels like, oh yeah, that's definitely got some skull characteristics
Yeah,
with the
some
two eyes in it.
skulls here.
Kind of some. I see a kind of alien. Oh, they got it. I got the.
Yeah,
picture
I
up
got the
for
one
it.
right there. I'm just seeing if I'm pointing. And also, it's nice to see it from farther away. Interesting one. You can really actually a good test of some fun things to do for any artists out there is to make some things like this, and then just take a piece of paper over top and just play with the organic shapes. They're actually really fun, and a lot of if any comics listen to this, go fuck yourself, because usually they're like, shut up, Neil, stop talking for like real, like you're a real person. Yeah, but that's a really fun thing to do because that does have some interesting feelings. I'm wondering what, I don't want to make you keep flipping.
No, you can.
The sideways are always when you made this. Do you remember which end was up?
Not really, because
No.
I kind of just drip it on, and then I kind of call a side up.
Yeah.
Based on which way I take the picture.
Gotcha.
So, which was pretty much the way I handled it.
Sideways is always the much harder weird thing because it's a duplex.
It's not symmetrical. Yeah. It
Yeah.
just feels weird. I mean, and there's been some people have seen a thing in there.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple episodes ago. Someone saw like angry clowns.
Mm,
And like, if you remember the movie, what were they, Clowns from Outer Space or
of
something?
course.
And I didn't see it until he said it, but it just looked like two sideways clowns with a long, thin face, and then it was a good one. I can't remember which episode it is. I apologize if somebody comments below, but it was cool. So I mean, yeah, this one. I mean, this is a neat one. There's not a lot of stuff to see in it, but I love the picture. I liked when this one came out.
No, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. You're getting a lot of, at least in my head here. Yeah, you're just getting a lot of like the fauna and stuff like animal skulls and things like that. Again, anytime you have those two press up, you're getting a lot of that. I actually might just do that and lay some stuff over top and then send it to you.
Well, it's yours, so you can.
Yeah,
have
no.
all that,
What I'm saying, I'm gonna take it home and I'm gonna draw some stuff out of it. Maybe make some sweet drawings out of
Nice.
that thing. That's cool, man.
Believe me,
Thank you.
I'd rather people get use out of them and appreciate
me.
them.
I
so.
never get anything. I'm serious. My girlfriend doesn't even give me presents.
Oh,
I know. It's a shame.
That's a
We live different weird lives. It's all right. It's gonna be fine.
It
I also did this to myself. I'm like one of those people is like I don't celebrate birthdays. So I don't. It's not on purpose. I just don't. I always like. I'm just like not into it. And then people are like, oh well, fuck you. Like, fine.
Yeah, it's birthdays are tough though, because like I try to do something for mine every year, not like a big deal, but I just say like, yo, everybody come over,
Okay.
just come over, hang out, have a party, and it's not so much a celebration. I don't want a cake, I don't want presents or bullshit. I just want everybody to get together.
That would be nice. I gotta do that next time.
Yeah, so it's just like, hey, everybody come hang out, and that's really all it's for. So.
Yeah.
It's just.
I gotta do that. I gotta do that next time. I keep meaning to do it. Now our mother-in-law lives with us, so it'll be an interesting party when you guys come over.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah.
I've heard these stories.
Oh yeah, always fun. Always a good time.
That ringtone that you do on stage. That probably upsets me more.
Dude, it's. I feel bad. It's tough. It's tough when you talk about her mother, your wife's mother. I was like, that sounds your wife's family, even like that. Yeah, I know that story.
Well, she would never let that happen because, like I said, she emancipated herself at 17.
Yeah.
So the idea of her letting her parents move in here under any situation would never happen. That's why there was no arm twisting. When we first met, she worked for CVS. So she's still in pharmacy field now in a hospital, but she worked for CVS. So it was like, I was like, well, what are we going to do for, are you going to be able to move down here? And she's like, I work for CVS. I can transfer.
Anyway.
So so it was like, let's go. The farther I'm away from my folks, the better. Gone. She came right down here.
Yeah, I think for our case, it's one of those things you got to remember. And I always said I think sometimes that people forget they can break up with their family. I don't want to. It sounds dark or something like that, but like legitimately, sometimes it's allowed. Sometimes it's just kind of like, I'm just gonna break up with my family there. And if it's anyway,
I've got an uncle I've only met once. I've only met him once. I met him at my grandmother's funeral. That was the only time I ever met the man.
Yeah.
He distanced himself from the family when he was, just out of high school. It was that he was gone. I've never met him until that one time. He came back from my grandmother was on her deathbed, and he came back. And
you should have interviewed him.
This was long ago.
I know.
Yeah, I've only been doing this for half a year.
Try to get in contact with that guy now.
From what I hear, I don't
not
really
good stuff.
I would really want to talk to him.
I
mean, it would be deep. It'd be really
deep
deep because apparently my whole family was there. My dad has like 7 brothers and sisters. So
right.
The whole family's there, and then my grandmom's getting ready to pass. It was happening. They knew it was coming, and then she's there in the hospital room, and then my Uncle Pat shows up. And then she saw him. She was there. And a couple breaths later, that was it. She was like, "That's it. Everybody was here." And she went. Yeah. So it was crazy.
Oh, that's bad. That's
well, that's pretty much what it was. She's like, "Everyone's here."
I like that.
All my sons and daughters are here. She just let go.
Wow.
So they had said that they thought that she was hanging on.
They've
fighting
seen that before, yeah. They've seen that before in sites where they can legitimately like the brain can finally let like do that for the body's responding to it, and you're just like, great, no tendon.
Yeah, it was nuts, man.
That's pretty weird. But dude, that's like an interesting. If you did want, it sounds like that's a rough one. But yeah, like those are interesting, man. That's
got a weird.
Just distance himself from your family.
Yeah,
That's weird.
It's weird not knowing your family.
What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I probed my dad about it, he would know exactly what happened.
Right.
But he just didn't get along with some of the family and said that's, and he just moved away. He just moved. I mean, and again, you look at our parents' age. That they're in their 50s and 60s. It's a lot easier. I know I'm getting weird again here, but it's a lot easier than to get a job and to sustain yourself. You could have just been like, "Oh, I'm going to go work for this plant."
Right.
And you start working for this manufacturing plant or whatever it was, or any job, and you go in there and you work and you can live off that wage.
True.
And so, I mean, it's a lot harder to just move and do that now, which was what we talked about earlier. It was just like, you can't just go do that. And so you could just take a job somewhere and work hard, and he had a job back then, and that was it. And that's probably what he did. And he just moved away, got a job, and I never knew him, unfortunately. I just know he's my Uncle Pat. I don't really know anything else about him.
There you go.
I know he's married and has a couple kids, I think. I can't even remember.
Might be a good. That's okay. We'll talk off air actually about more of that because I actually am very curious. Not that
I don't even know if I could get in touch with him. I don't even know if my parents or anybody in my family has a way to get in touch with him. I mean, somebody must, because obviously they told him about my grandmother, but that was back in 01 or 2000 even. I don't even think it was 01. So that was in 2000. So God, in 18 years, this man could have gone up to the wind and nobody could have a way to get in touch with him.
Change his phone once.
Yeah. Nobody in the family can get in touch with him. So.
Technology, you're supposed to be solving all this for us.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe somebody's friends with him on
Facebook. Somebody both on Facebook.
Yeah, probably not. So, but look, hey, I want to thank you. We've been at this for 2 hours and 5 minutes at this point. Everybody says, "How do your podcast can't go that long?" I can't have anything to say for the. Yeah, trust me, we'll go well off the rails. It always does.
Of course,
we get comfy on the couch and it goes off the rails. Is what it does.
That's what it is.
I'll split it into 2 parts and everybody will be wrapping it up here. But
gotcha.
So anything for you to plug? I mean, like I said, I know you're not. I mean,
you know what we could do? We could plug May 15th. That is the senior showcase at Hushin College. We can do that. I can just be a nice creative director.
Yeah.
Plus that. So May 15th, Hushin College is light food refreshments. That's in Philadelphia. That's 1500 Spring Garden on the campus. Come out, see some cool artwork, wine, dine. Nice. It's kind of fun. I'm just gonna be all over the place in Philadelphia and in New Jersey and probably over the summer more in AC and stuff like that. So, you can go to jnwdesign.com.
Okay.
Which, again, of course, creative director.
Downstairs.
Yeah, please.
Down below. Downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube. Yeah, there's a downstairs YouTube. I don't know.
Put that link downstairs. Put it downstairs, Jesse.
That sounds horrible.
Jesse Rogers.
So downstairs. It sounds so horrible.
I just want to do so many things.
I'm going to edit the fuck out of this right
now.
But,
But JNW Design on there. There's like a silly comedy page as well, so you can always get in touch with me with there. Or if you ever want to do some artwork or do silly stuff, or you need artwork from me, you can do stuff with that too. That's fine.
Cool. I'll make sure I put the link below.
Always.
I'll put the link down there and any of the social media pages you on Twitter.
Like I said, I don't use it.
Or I could just put them
I have
below.
all the things. Like I said, you can list. I have like everything. So if you guys just want to go on there and just send me stuff, 100% fine with that. James.neil.wood on Facebook.
Okay.
It's probably like starving. I'll list all of them to you. Check it out.
Just send me a letter, a message, and I'll put it all down below so you guys can see it.
Yeah, like I said, you will not get responses from me. I will not respond. But, I'm trying to get better. I swear, guys.
Well, at least you don't have to respond to Twitter. I mean, they can hop on your
I'm
Twitter,
even
or
on
Instagram,
Twitter. Yeah,
or whatever.
I know. Yeah, I even have the Twitter. Actually, do you get? Never mind. You do Twitter. Yeah. Well, I'll put all the stuff. We'll include it. It's fine if you want to. I'm trying to be better.
Exactly. So we'll get him out there. So, dude, thank you so much for being on here. I look forward to seeing you every time you show up at High Note. Believe me, he's one of the good ones, guys. So don't let what he says about himself change.
This was weird. This was like, on stage, it's much weirder. This was like,
it's stories like we let off with. Only worse.
It's usually worse.
I think you toned that one down for
I
this
did.
podcast,
It's also,
which I appreciate.
Telling it in the room with folks is a little different. Like, they might know who I'm talking about and things like that. But it was just a pleasure having me on. And dude, that's like the iceberg. I've burnt down a building once. Anytime you need me to come over and tell some terrible things.
Another one. That's a good story.
Anytime. There's some terrible things I've done.
I used to call it the statute of initiation because I would always say if it was something like marginally illegal.
Right.
Just because it was like, something that was like questionable. Like most of it was underage drinking, little silly stories like that, and like a cop overlooked it or silly stuff like that. But yeah, burning down a building's pretty good. That's
It was kind of a little not a big. We don't need to get into it. It's fine.
Cool. Well, we got something for another interview.
Damn it!
So,
How do I bury myself in these holes? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, people.
But everybody, thanks as always for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe below. It helps me out a lot. Hit the subscribe button because I want those subscribers. Hit the bell. That's what they tell me to do now. You got to hit the bell. Hit the bell, ring the bell, so you get the notifications when a new episode comes out. I'm always airing them every Wednesday if it's a one-parter, or in this instance, which this is going to be Tuesdays and Friday when it's a two-parter. So I'm going to split it in half, so you'll get a two-part episode.
Nice.
And make sure you check out the Facebook. It's a great page to find out what's always going on. I'm always posting everything there. So check it out.
I'm just going to hold this.
See all these great ink blots as they come out, and you can see a lot of the great comics and guests that I'm going to have on here. So, as always, everybody, never buy an umbrella. Take care.